TRUF. Truth.
He's the mirage in the rear view glass.
It's Ray from Dallas.
Was he here? Was he there? Was he ever mine?
Ray from Dallas?
Just a trick played by time.
This dude is savage as fuck.
Or just a dream?
What up, Ray from Dallas?
Ray from Dallas, tell me true.
He's fun.
Hi, Ray.
This appears to be a black man.
Ray from Dallas.
Let's take this walk.
Is he real or just a dream? Falling stars over laser beam. Ray from Dallas, tell me true. Are you the myth or the man I knew?
This dude is
Savage as fuck.
Your days if you do. Your days if you do. Bet I ain't got shit to prove. Boo dust, gold tooth, Lil Bruce, smile sharp enough to choose. Bang, bang, right through your cool. Walking like a rumor with a pulse. Lip curl sweeter than your cold. My eyes say try me and you freeze like salt. Got your huggle, got your huggle. You wanted that smoke, I'm the whole damn stack. Got your huggle, got your huggle. Step up, I'll clear the room. Your days if you do, your days if you do. All aces in my hand, better back. Tongue sharp like a tag, hit a click, clack. You wanted that heat, now it's time to meet the sun. No shade, just black. Walk slow, silver in my lap. Halo, crooked heart attack. Say a piece, talk that trash. I turn every word to glass. Cut deep. Got your huggle, got your huggle. You wanted that smoke, I'm the whole damn stack. Got your huggle, got your huggle. Step up, I clear the room. Smile sharp enough to do your daisy if you do. Your daisy if you do. I'm your Huckleberry, 214 detonate. Yeah. I'm your Huckleberry, 214 detonate. Boys on, still same. In every state. Fly the car at 39K, boy, wait. Crash lane 2, crash lane 2. You riding phones off another man, true. Oh man, you still at the gas pump. Yeah, no camera lens, just a hot mic gleam. Any clickbait dream just to make a meme. Ray stay cool while the chat stay lit. Respect that house, still talk my shit. You talk unit, but you split your crew. Blame them fool for the mess you do. OG talk grace, but you missed that class. Now you flying front seat, gas, no gas. I'm your Huckleberry, no face, all frame. Woo! 214 soul in the wild, say my name. Right phone till you in, ding, bleed. Respect ain't Clyde, it's deep. Woo! Babyface falling like last call Jim. Mike till shake slip words thin. Kev out back chain smoking his pay. 56 still can't clear the gray. Jeff BM in the Buick, call it flight 39K. Talks to go co-hosting, backs away, say I sell my tea, yes sure. Whatever you mean, gets every black voice on the semi don't scream. Act like truth don't hurt, but he hooked, but real clean. Now the face gon' flinch when they hit that beam. No face needed when the truth got teeth. Words cut deeper than a badge or beef. Y'all play cop in a YouTube hood. I'm just saying what real ones would. Either do this we. Respect ain't weak, it's rare. I'm your Huckleberry, 214 still ride. No K, Huckleberry, 214 still ride. No K, no man, trophy in the sky. Riding boom till the tide is split. Right from dollar, yeah, I built this shit. Yeah. Name's Ray from Dallas. I ain't scared of nothing. Yeah. No face required. Just facts and fire. I'm your Huckleberry.
Shout out to everybody out here from that 214 to across the states, to across the pond. Salute. You and I rocking with your guy Ray from Dallas, aka RFD. And I appreciate everybody who's in the building tonight, right? Because y'all the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I want to tell everybody, I really appreciate the love, the support, and I love you people to death, right? And if it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't be able to rock like I'm rocking. So as usual, let me do that gangster lean and turn up for y'all. Man, I appreciate y'all to death, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Before we start this, I want to give a big shout out to Erica Walsh, the beautiful Erica, amazing Walsh, right? That was a great interview with her the other day. And she is just a beautiful person on the outside and inside. And I really appreciate her for coming to my show. That was really an honor and a blessing to have her presence on this stage. So I want to tell Erica, man, I thank you to death. I got much love for you, and I'm riding with you 100%. Salute. Now, also, I want to salute to a person who been just so instrumental to me, right? And that's the other Mary B, right? When I tell you that she had a great show today, when I tell you that she is what I told y'all she was, an assassin, and I mean that in a good way. When I tell you she put on the hell of a show today, and I want to tell Mary B, man, you were great. In my Tony the Tiger voice, do you hear me? I'm gonna let you know I love you with everything in me, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Do you understand me? Right? And if y'all ain't subscribed to the other Mary B, please do. Right? Because she the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And likewise with Erica Walsh. Right? Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, them two are my best interviews to me that I did on her. So, y'all know me, I'm a late night creeper, right? Caught some of Jimmy's show, couldn't catch it all, right? Because I had to attend to some things, so I'm able to catch the replay on that, right? And I appreciate you, Mary B, but look, if it wasn't for Mary B, y'all, right, like, and her wisdom, and understanding, just in general situations, right? To make me understand, I wouldn't be able to, be still doing this with y'all. So, yeah, and Pretty Cooper said she got that song with the Glare and Auntie Dale. We definitely gonna be playing that tomorrow on the next show, and we're gonna be playing it going forward. Shout out to Ray House Media in Troy with the Huckleberry. Shout out to Pretty Kooky with your Daisy, if you do. I appreciate y'all. Right? Now, fatality verdict. RFD reacts to Lawyer You Know and Big George, no doubt guilty verdict. Let's take this one. Right. And I want to say that to Lawyer You Know and Big George, right? Like they are great and tremendous at what they do, and they've been able to, carry me and give me, a better understanding. Not just them, but I'm talking about the people who I watch on YouTube. This guy right here, his father. Shout out to the beautiful Madame Mary B, Pretty Kooky, everybody, all you beautiful people in here. Right? I see y'all. It's called We Got Questions. We Got Questions. Madame. Been able to give me an understanding, and not just them, the beautiful Mo Esk, you understand me? She have too, but hold up real quick. Shout out to Jen Good. She said, I appreciate your interview with Erica. Just cause it on replay today. You are great at interviewing. Man, I appreciate your beautiful and kind words that you said, right? And listen, that means everything to me. So we got to turn you up with that gangster lean. Man, shout out to you, Jen Goods. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for saying that. And thank Mary B for saying that too, boy. Mary B, she had me lit on her show today. Boy, I would like talk that shit. But, she is the best, bro. She is my favorite motherfucker. I ain't gonna lie to you. She is my favorite motherfucker, right? And it's just real, and I appreciate her great husband, Joe. They beautiful family, man. They are just tremendous, right? Salute to Joe, man. Now, now I know, like I said, these guys carried me through this case, right? They did. That's the truth. They carried me through it to, give me a better, understanding just looking at the cases, right? Not knowing, how it was gonna play out, just getting wisdom and learning about circumstantial evidence, right? But I'm gonna be clear with everybody right now. I know even though I've seen the verdict and stuff, right? If I was on that jury, I would have still voted not guilty, right? And cause it was just too much reasonable doubt. Yeah, you could say I understand how much circumstantial evidence plays in the case now, so I'm not looking past that. But if I was on that jury, I would have still voted not guilty because it was too much reasonable doubt. Too much, right? And then to hear the juror, right? There's one juror who spoke out. I know it's a long interview with another juror, but I got this clip of this one juror who spoke out. I don't know what her name is, but it was just kind of disgusting to me to listen to how she stated this. I want y'all to take a look at this.
His drink with a fatal dose of fentanyl is speaking out for the first time.
There was never a not guilty check with anything, with any element, nothing.
Laura and her fellow jurors taking less than 3 hours to find Richins guilty on all 5 counts, including aggravated murder, insurance fraud, and forgery.
Even though it was just 3 hours, I felt like we came into that deliberation fully loaded to evaluate the case and to look at the evidence. We had to zoom in on these little bits of evidence and kind of ignore all the fluff and ignore the drama.
Laura says each juror had their own smoking gun, but they all came to the same conclusion.
We were so pent up with so much information and emotion. And so we decided to just go one by one around the table and just let it out.
In 2023, Richins published this children's book on grief. She says was to help their sons with their loss, even promoting it on TV. The jurors shocked when they were told about the book in the final days of testimony.
Everyone just felt like they're hit with a truck. We're like, what? like, what the hell is this? It was so odd and so strange.
The defense rested without calling a single witness, arguing there's no proof Kouri killed Eric. Prosecutors countered with their own narrative, portraying the 35-year-old mother of 3 as a black widow, claiming she was having an affair, buried in debt, and desperate for her husband's money. In the end, the jury sided with the prosecution.
People were really sad because They did not want to find her guilty. They were really hoping that she was innocent. And we couldn't come to that conclusion. And it was really heartbreaking, this devastating reality that this family was torn apart. And these poor kids will really basically never have a dad or mom.
This bothers me. Listen to the way this woman tell me they deliberated, right? And we all different. And like I stated, I don't agree with everything everybody says. That doesn't mean I'm right. But me looking at this, I don't like nothing about what I heard this woman stated on how they deliberated. Then she in there laughing. Kooky face. Laughing. Like this ain't a woman who life on the line. Right? And this is what bothers me about these people. These jurors. They had their mind, in my opinion, I can't speak, but the way it played, they had their mind made up before this trial even started. Like this woman on her, it's mind-boggling to me to act like she knew nothing. I mean nothing, not a titi, Nathaniel, beautiful people about this case. And I have some more clips, right? I'm gonna play, but it's mind-boggling to me. They can say the book, right? Yeah, probably a nervous laugh, but they say the book, right? Like, how can you determine that? And I haven't seen Lawyer and we're gonna play that in a minute. But how can you determine that? How can it power you like a truck, right? And man, this next one right here. Oh my God, yeah, Jen Goods. This next clip right here by the great Lawyer Lee. I love this woman right here. I didn't know about this, right? I didn't know about this. Check this out.
He could have been the most important witness in the Kouri Richins trial. Hayden Jeffs had bombshell evidence that Kouri Richins had asked him for fentanyl and propofol just weeks before her husband Eric died of a massive fentanyl overdose. But Hayden Jeffs died in 2024 in a tragic motorcycle accident. The jury in Kouri's case never heard his full testimony. This video is the story of what prosecutors say he would have said and why the judge kept it out. The critical question of the whole trial was whether Kouri murdered Eric with fentanyl. The medical examiner said Eric died of a massive fentanyl overdose, but at trial, the testimony about whether Kouri even had access to fentanyl was a complete mess. Witnesses contradicted each other. They couldn't remember critical information, and literally no one knew exactly how Kouri had allegedly administered that drug to Eric. At trial, there were two critical witnesses on this subject for the state, and they contradicted each other. Carmen Lauber was Kouri's housekeeper, and she testified that Kouri asked her to get fentanyl, but her testimony had serious holes.
Really? 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 So hold up. Hayden, and God rest his soul, Hayden Jeff. My condolences to his family, but really? So it was a guy who died, in a motorcycle accident, who was supposed to be the bombshell witness. But they let Corman, a known liar, who lied to the judge, who gave her the deal. They let another dude who took a deal. What did he have to lose by telling the truth, flipping his stuff when he had him in? What did he have to lose by doing that? Corman was the one. Shout out to the beautiful Emma Rose in the building and Catherine in the arena. So really, it was another dude and she got convicted? And we know Corman, who she was, and you telling me them jurors over there believed every word this woman said? And when I'm looking at that woman now, I'm bothered. Because I love circumstantial evidence. I get it now. But if a woman is guilty, okay, she's guilty. But if it's so much reasonable doubt like it was in this case, how can you have a conscience to say, yup, she guilty on every single count? Now, before we get to the lawyer, man, this is this beautiful, wonderful attorney. Her name is Ashley Merchant. She practices out of Georgia. I think she's the head of like the defense lawyers down there. Plus, her and her husband have their own practice. The reason why I know about Ashley Merchant is because of the YSL trial, right? Yeah, rightful license, right, baby. Of the YSL trial and attorney Brian Steele, when she came to his defense after that judge tried to put him in contempt, right? So, yeah, I want y'all to listen to what they had to say before we get to the lawyer, because of course she's guilty, right? They voted her guilty, right? So let's hear their observations on what they think and how they think, and then we'll get to the lawyer.
So she's got up next sentencing on May 13th, which just happens to be Eric's birthday. I don't think that was by coincidence. And I'm really surprised that the defense agreed to that. But after that, she'll be going through the appellate process. And what does that look like? Really, that looks like a lot of time and lawyers combing through a file, trying to figure out if something happened in the case that was wrong. But she faces she faces two options. She faces 25 years to life in prison, or she could get life without the possibility of parole. The judge is the one that decides it. And so we think that the judge will probably hear from lots of different witnesses. The attorneys are going to argue, but also victim impact statements. So we'll probably hear from Eric's family. We may hear from some of Kouri's family, both of their families, to determine whether or not she should have life or life without parole. And then the judge is the one that's going to make that decision. So, I'm curious, Dave, what's your prediction on the sentence that Kouri's going to receive from the judge?
Well, the prosecutor in me is hoping she'll get life. I like to believe she'll get life in prison, but I actually think that the statements made by the victims and by Kouri Richins, her elocution when she gets up and if she speaks, which I think she will, I think that's going to matter here. And I want to hear what you think, Ashley, because normally the cake is baked by this point. There's mandatory minimums. A judge knows what the judge is going to do. But I think here that we all want to hear Kouri Richins to see if she will show any remorse, any humanity, or is she going to go down with the ship and continue her professor that she's innocent, that she was the victim herself. Remember, she wrote that book, and we'll get to it, but that had an impact on this jury. I mean, it just makes her look like a huge sociopath to write a book about grief when you're the one who caused your kids to be orphaned. So I just think that in this case, the statements by the victims and by her will have an impact, but I'm leaning towards life in prison.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the judge is most likely to give her life. The question for me is whether or not he's going to give her the chance of parole. And I'll answer your question about what I would do, or, what my opinion would be as far as her testifying. But then I want to talk a minute about, life with parole versus life without parole. And I'll go on my soapbox for a minute about that. But, it's hard when you have a client who's just gone to trial and they got convicted. They're trying to get over that and they're trying to weigh their options and figure out what's next. The problem is if she allocutes, is what we call it, if she gets up there and makes a statement and her statement says, I did it, I'm sorry, and what she needs to do to get a lenient sentence, more lenient sentence, she needs to get up there and she needs to admit what she did. Mm-hmm. She needs to, show real remorse, explain it, something that the judge can actually see. And, after doing this a while, you kind of become a human lie detector test. And I think judges are really good at being able to see true remorse. The problem with that, and this is what's hard when you're advising someone like that, is that affects her ability to appeal. Mm-hmm. So if she wants to appeal the case, and you got to remember, she's making this decision before she is sentenced. So she doesn't know if the judge is going to give her a chance of parole or if the judge is going to give her life without parole. So, in my opinion, if he gives her life without parole, appeal. You have absolutely nothing to lose. You're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. So why would you not appeal? But if there's some hope there, maybe she would make the decision, to actually say what happened if she did do it. And, there's always the chance she didn't do it. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but there's always that chance. But, to get a lenient sentence or get a more lenient sentence, you really need to be honest about it. And that's a problem because she's got the, appellate rights. My issue with the life without parole versus, life with, I think she's going to get life either way. But to me, and I have a lot of clients, I do a lot of appeals. And so when you do appeals, you have a lot of clients in prison. I didn't get them there, but I represent them and they're in prison. And one of the things that I've learned is that life without parole, it's an awful sentence, in my opinion, because it removes hope. And when you remove hope, you have what we see in our prison system, which is an awful, awful, horrible system of, just people acting horrible. It's very hard to control human behavior when there's no hope. Most of the things that humans do are because there's some hope of something better. And so if you remove all chances of hope, I just think that that's a very difficult population to house because, they're really living for their own entertainment at that point. And so that's when you see violence happen because it's more fun if you're never going to get out of prison and you don't even have anything to be good for. It's more fun to at least get out of yourself or something, Going to court becomes a game. And so there's something psychologically, I think, that happens.
Who? Hold up, we'll get back to that in a minute. But hold up, she's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Hold up, y'all know I saying what we say down here in Texas? Well, if y'all don't know, let me show you how we do it. I say the stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, Mama Texas. She's in the building, ladies and gentlemen. And she say, she like that old turn up. So everybody throw up them hearts for she like Texas. Man, salute to Mama Texas, aka She Like Texas, aka Miss is the stars is bright, big and bright, I'm torn, y'all. And shout out to Ashley Merchant. Love that woman to death, right? Like Catherine say, she a savage. She the truth, right? And if you in Georgia and you want a defense attorney to represent you, if you're going through some things and you know you innocent in them, pick her. Her and her husband are sensational. Oh, for real? I got you, Mama Texas. Oh, Nina was on Spaces? Okay. Now, I'm torn off that, right? Because they say, look, I would have voted not guilty. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I know, I'm learning about circumstantial evidence, but I don't care about that circumstantial evidence in this case. I got to be real with myself, right? Because that circumstantial evidence wasn't enough to me, right? It wasn't. All the people on there misremembering, the lead detective didn't know nothing. That just wasn't enough, right? And speaking of, just like them saying, like, the judge gonna give her life, and if she want this and that, she should do this, right? Let's get to this last clip of them, because they talk about that, Emma.
And at least gave hope, because let's be honest, she's never going to get paroled. I mean, honestly, Eric's family is going to speak against it forever. So why not give her some hope?
Well, she'll have hope because she can always win an appeal, even if she shows some remorse here in the sentencing. There's always hope that maybe a future governor could give her a pardon or a commutation of her sentence.
Right.
So there's hope in that way. I mean, keep in mind, if you allow for parole, the victim's family will have to go through the process over and over again. Every time there's a parole hearing, they got to get their stuff together and relive this nightmare and testify. And then they won't have full closure, knowing that the killer could one day go free. So there is a flip side to that. In Florida, actually, we don't have these kinds of problems because we don't have parole. We got rid of it.
It's crazy. I wonder why. And I actually really appreciate that opinion, thinking about the victims going through it again and again with the parole hearing. It's a great perspective, the other side. And I think it's a hard decision. We have parole here in Georgia, and it is, I hate to use the word, but a crapshoot, really.
I'm gonna put you on the spot with here's a little interesting question, okay?
Okay.
In Florida, we do not have parole. We got rid of it, and it's because they want to get tough on crime. No more parole. You have to serve up to 85% of your sentence. So not up to, at least 85% of your sentence. So you could get, with good behavior, 15% of your sentence off, but you have to serve at least 85% of your sentence. It's called truth in sentencing. No more parole. But here's a question for you, Ashley, and for our audience. If Florida has no parole, then why do we have a parole commission? Now it's given another name. It's called, I think, the Offender Review Commission, but it's still the parole commission. Why do we still have a parole commission if we got rid of parole years ago?
Okay, I have some guesses. You still have people that were sentenced under the old system. And so they weren't sentenced under the truth in sentencing. So they still have to have parole. I'm also guessing you probably have clemency, and that probably falls under parole. So people probably, and what a lot of folks don't know is clemency is like a medical reprieve. If you have 2 weeks left to live, I'd like to say that the prison system wants to be humanitarian and let you go die with your family, but they really don't want to have to pay for the care. But, clemency. So I'm guessing it's those. Did I get it right?
You got it right. You're so good. That's why you get paid the big bucks. That's why you're in demand and you were featured in the New York Times. How long ago was that, by the way?
That was about a year ago. Yeah, about a year ago. It's a good time.
Well, really the main reason is because under the Constitution, you can't take away someone's parole when that was part of their sentence at the time of sentencing. It's ex post facto. You can't go back and take it away. So until those defendants die off, the parole commission will remain. And it's a unique sort of an anachronism in Florida, but it still exists. As far as your other reason, that's interesting. I don't know myself the level of involvement in clemency that board has, but that's something I'm going to look at. See, you turned around my trick question and gave me a homework assignment.
Yes, I love it. I like us talking a little bit about sentencing because I think it's interesting to talk about how the different states do sentencing. The truth in sentencing is really fabulous. We don't have that in Georgia. So in Georgia, it's kind of crazy. For most crimes, you can get 1 to 20 years. So you could literally, and the problem in Georgia is that in one county, that county may be really lenient. Well, in the next county, they may be really tough. So you could have the exact same crime and get 20 years in one and 1 year in the other. So we don't have that truth in sentencing. Our parole is there to try to even out those sentences. So you guys have these sentencing guidelines. And, the whole point is to make sure that there's not these outliers. There's not this crazy one sentence and this really lenient sentence, try to sort of get them all in the middle. So, fun facts on sentencing, but
very interesting. And maybe we'll get a question from a listener, viewer on sentencing, because it's something that out in the public, people want to know about. People have believed for years that sentencing is always too light because we get all these maxims. Well, they could get 30 years in prison. Yeah, that's the maximum. They're never even going to get close, or probably probation. I'm maybe exaggerating, but generally people are usually disappointed in sentencing. So it's important. Maybe we should talk.
Ooh-wee. Man, I love Ashley Merchant, right? Because she is real as it gets. If you know, you know. I'm telling you, if you don't follow Ashley Merchant, if you've never seen her, put Ashley Merchant name in YouTube and watch her work. When I tell you she's the head of some type of, for all the defense lawyers, right? She's the head of it, right? And in that YSL trial, boy, she went and shut that judge down and made him recuse himself because of what he was trying to do to Brian Steele. Not only that, boy, she showed up and they had about 30 more lawyers in the hallway waiting. Beautiful, smart, intelligent, and I'm telling y'all, I could see her, working in a big part, if she choose to, in the government. She is that good. Too much reasonable doubt. They said they want Ashley Merchant to get up there, right? I mean, not Ashley Merchant. They want Kouri Richins to get up there, have some remorse, right? If she didn't do it, because they voted her guilty, she's supposed to have some remorse and say she did it now? So it could be a possibility of a chance. What is that going to do, right? And especially after hearing this juror, I'm going to say this one more time, hearing this juror say this, and then we're going to get to the lawyer, and Big George, and see what they had to say about it. Hold up, not only that, the dude who died, he was going to be the witness who could do this, and God rest his soul, and my condolences to his family. But if he's not there, and then y'all put these two people on here who was criminals and got lied at the lot, like this woman said, they didn't take nothing in consideration. Look,
Street with a fatal dose of fentanyl is speaking out for the first time.
There was never a not guilty check with anything, with any element, nothing.
Laura and her fellow jurors taking less than 3 hours to find Richins guilty on all 5 counts, including aggravated murder, insurance fraud, and forgery.
Even though it was just 3 hours, I felt like we came into that deliberation fully loaded. To evaluate the case and to look at the evidence, we had to zoom in on these little bits of evidence and kind of ignore all the fluff and ignore the drama.
Laura says each juror had their own smoking gun, but they all came to the same conclusion.
We were so pent up with so much information and emotion. And so we decided to just go one by one around the table and just let it out.
In 2023, Richins published this children's book on grief. She says was to help their sons with their loss, even promoting it on TV.
Enough of that. She said we was so big with emotion. And yeah, Catherine, boy, I remember that. She dominated Fannie Willis, lying ass on the stage. If y'all know about Fannie Willis, her and this dude named Nathan who was trying to bring down President Trump, they were secret boyfriend and girlfriend and doing all this extra shit. That's a lot more shit to get into, right? Oh my God, but Ashley Merchant, pieced her up. Jab, jab, uppercut, left hook. Right? Oh my God, just thinking about that. You brought memories back to me, Catherine. Right? But this lady said they was built up off emotion. Yeah, see, like Mama Texas, I call it bullshit too. They had decided her gift from the start. That's what I was saying. They said there was too much emotion. Well, hey, listen, lady, trials ain't about emotion. It's about going there with a clear conscience and looking through that. What were you looking at? You got glasses on. They looked like they was nice, shiny, and clean that you could see through. And you know what they say? People who can't see that good, boy, they got radar vision hearing. They can hear everything. I'm just saying that's what they say. Right? Emotionally, we were this and that. You got 3 hours. After all that freaking reasonable doubt, 3 hours, and y'all convicted this woman for the rest of her life. Oh, this bothers me. Because when the judge, excuse me, the one thing, I'm sorry, y'all, 1 second. Help me, please. Went down the wrong pipe. This is the one thing I didn't like about that judge. This is the one decision. Not saying I didn't like the judge, but this is the one decision that I didn't like that the judge did when he let them say illicit drugs. Right? Illicit. Please. Like this. Illicit drugs. When that judge, and salute to him, I like the judge. You know, sound like he could be the best narrator in the world for a movie to tell the story. Dude was, but that him letting in them say illicit drugs, that could point to anything when we know she said she wanted the Michael Jackson drug. It was the Michael Jackson drug, Proval. He died with fentanyl in his system. All right? Fentanyl. So that's the one huge mistake. And in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, all right? But I hope that could be brought back up to retry this in appellate. Like, Carmen, really? This case shouldn't have never been in Utah. That's what this case shouldn't have never been in Utah. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh. All right. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm just, you know, I want to love the law, right? I want to love the law, but like illicit is you know, you letting them think, okay, just because she said illicit, they said illicit, that can mean anything. No. Then the big old this, shout out to you, Ocean. Love you to death. Oh, y'all, this is, I'm bothered by this, right? Because this is a mother of 3 boys who now possibly will never see them for the rest of her life. And all of this reasonable doubt convicted her. And they took 3 hours not going through all the evidence. They didn't care about what that lead detective didn't or didn't do. They didn't care about the private investigator not doing, saying that they should look at this, they should look at that, this and that. Where it give the police time to come and do a search warrant. That was bogus. Well, y'all, y'all let me know, right? Please let me know if if we have any problems when I play this, I love y'all to death, man. I'm bothered by this. But hey, like I say, I love Lawyer, and I love his daddy, Big George, right? But and they schooled me to let me know that people see like this. I couldn't see like that. I couldn't, no matter what. I couldn't see like that. I'm sorry.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the episode of the Lawyer You Know podcast. And we're done with 1 week of Kouri Richins' trial. It feels like a lot more than that because so much has happened this week. But you guys asked for it, and we have got a recap on all of my dad's thoughts from week one. What does he think about opening statements? What does he think about all the witnesses and the lawyering, more importantly, because that's where most of your questions come. We'll ask him about the judge. And of course, we'll finish with talking about the confidential informant and how effective he thinks she was as a witness and how effective he thinks the cross-examination was attacking her credibility by the defense attorney. All that and more on this week's episode. So let's...
Oh, my bad. This is the wrong one, y'all. I got the wrong one. Y'all give me 1 second. That was the right one, wasn't it? Verdict reaction, was that the right one? What the fuck is it saying? Week 1. I thought that was the right one. I know I ain't tripping. I'm like, y'all 1 second. Y'all know I missed it. Hold on. All right, heard it. I think this is it. Let me make sure this is it. My bad. I know I had to. Y'all just let me know. Shit. Oh, God. I just knew I had that shit. How the fuck is that playing? Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that? I can't hear it. Let me know if y'all can hear it. Give me 1 second.
All right, Dad, guilty across the board very quickly, less than 3 hours. Let's start with the verdict, and then we'll work backwards and talk about closing arguments. Were you surprised at the guilty verdict?
I was not surprised at the guilty verdict for the M. I was surprised by the guilty verdict for the sandwich. That one did surprise me, especially considering how short the deliberations were. I just can't to find guilty of the attempt guilty verdict for the sandwich. That one did surprise me, especially considering how short the deliberations were. I just can't believe somebody on that jury didn't think it was a ridiculous guilty to find guilty of the attempted M on the sandwich. It boggles my mind, but I was not surprised by the M guilty verdict. I think we even said it before that even though
I should be able to hear now. Okay, y'all good now. Yeah. So y'all seen that, right? Y'all heard what they said, right? It was a surprise. I feel different, but these lawyers.
We would not, and we saw a lot of reasonable doubt. We can certainly see that a jury could find her guilty.
Yeah, but I think that you can't really be that surprised once they were guilty. I get that if we would have taken each individual one with the evidence presented, there were a lot more issues with all of the other charges versus the count 1, the aggravated M. But anytime you see a case like this where the other charges, you can call them lesser charges, you can call them attached charges, when they have to do with the same exact form or conduct or substance as the first charge, it's almost always guilty. Where there's a financial piece to it and they have a fraud charge or an insurance fraud charge or a forgery charge. We've had cases like that. They almost always, if they're going to convict on one, they convict on all of them. And that's kind of what they did with the attempted M. They put it together and was like, this is how she does it. You have the same MO. You talk to the drug dealer, you get the drugs, you put it in his food, he gets sick, you ask for more, you put more in his drink, and then he dies. Because you wanted the Michael Jackson stuff, you needed something.
I know Big George finna say something, and I don't know what he finna say. But how can they do that like that? How can they just throw that in because they say, oh, this is how she do it, when there's no evidence there? Oh, my God. This is scaring my people.
Stronger. So it's not that shot. I mean, I get it based on the evidence. It is probably the least evidence I've ever seen a conviction of an attempted M charge in my life. What about you? Have you ever seen less evidence than this get a conviction?
Never. And I tell you what usually happens, and I know what you're saying, and I agree that happens a lot, but also what happens a lot is jurors are back there and you'll get, half the jury saying, guilty on everything, and then you get half the jury that's got some kind of a problem. And the way you deal with that half of the jury with some kind of a problem is you give them a bone. And the bone is, okay, we'll do a not guilty on the sandwich. Is that okay? And they go, okay, yeah, all right, then fine, not guilty on the sandwich. So they kind of split the baby. And that's what happens a lot in these kind of verdicts. And that's why you do get split. Plus, myself.
Hold up, y'all. You give him a bone. Man, if I get on the jury, ain't nobody gonna be able to give me no bone. If the evidence is not there, if I see reasonable doubt, I will not budge. This is scary.
I like to see these kind of different verdicts, not like guilty across the board, because it shows me that the jurors really deliberated and really looked at each charge individually, like the judge tells them to do, and make a decision on each charge individually based on the evidence just on that charge. Yeah. So that's what I like to see.
Yeah, no, and we'll get to the timing of the verdict, but so in 50 years, prosecuting cases, state and federal level, and defending cases for 40 of those 50 years, never seen less evidence get a conviction on attempted M before.
Never.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
13 years.
Okay. Big George is a former U.S. District Assistant Attorney. 40, 50 years, you heard his son, shout out to the beautiful Mevi in the building. You heard him saying, this is the least amount of evidence I've ever seen somebody get charged with on attempted M. And they did it to her, right? This case should have never been in Utah. Mevi, listen, I'm sorry. I know you got her late, but look, even though I was speaking on circumstantial evidence, right? I don't care about that circumstantial evidence. I do, but it wasn't enough to tie it to it, in my opinion. As much reasonable doubt it was on this case, it's no way this woman should have been convicted. Man, shout out to Big George, man. He said that was the least amount of evidence that he's ever seen somebody get convicted on attempted M. What is this?
Much less than you. Not even close. Like I would never bring this charge if I was a prosecutor. You know,
never.
But
never. I would never approve this.
But you understand why they did to help prove the aggravated M. That's why they did it. They wanted to show this MO. If they didn't have that other charge, it would have cut out a bunch of evidence as being irrelevant potentially, or they maybe have argued that it was, you know, she tried to do it the first time, but not enough to actually bring a charge. You can still argue it as unindicted criminal acts or whatever, prior bad acts. You can bring it in under a prior bad act, things like that.
Well, the important thing for them, again, talking about just this case and how they presented it, you know, they had Carmen on there, and they had Carmen's history of selling her these drugs. Plus, they've got the drug dealer, Robbie, and his history of providing the drugs. So if you're going through the history and going through the timeline, the Valentine's Day fits into their timeline. So it really is something that was easy for them to smoothly present as part of their timeline, and it would have made it a little bit jerky if they hadn't charged, the sandwich.
Yeah, and I also agree with you and think that the prosecutors may have been worried or considering a split baby verdict because that's why they brought all these charges. They gave the jurors multiple opportunities to throw out one that wouldn't have mattered as long as they convicted on, count one, and then a couple other ones. So it did work out for the prosecutors. And you said you were going to be kind of bent up if this is all it took to get a guilty conviction or a guilty verdict. I kind of felt like she did do it, even though I did think the evidence was lacking, especially on the other 4 counts. And I said, maybe I could be convinced in the jury room of count 1, but I would have walked in there probably thinking not guilty. But you did not feel the same way. So how do you feel now that it's a guilty verdict?
Well, I still think it was a pretty weak case for M, but it is an impossible case to, again, that attempted murder was just, we considered in about 2 seconds go through the evidence they had of that attempted M. And, the sandwich, I mean, come on. The guy felt sick. Come on, went to work the next day. Of course, we know the prosecutor had, he's a tough guy. He was a cowboy. But, the fact is they had no evidence that there was anything in that sandwich and no evidence that he suffered any ill effects because of what was in that sandwich. That, I'll be honest with you, if I was the judge, I probably would have given a directed verdict on the sandwich.
I agree. I agree. People are going to be like, oh, that's crazy.
And see what I'm saying? Well, shout out to Big George, man. And shout out to Peter too, because like I said, Peter know what the hell he he know what he talking about. And what he said was going to happen exactly what happened, right? But when I'm listening to Big George, who's a former U.S. Assistant District Attorney, and he tell me it wasn't enough evidence there. It was too much reasonable doubt. This is blasphemy to me to see her get convicted on every charge, with clear cut, no debating. Oh my.
But it's like, go in there and just try to try that one count. Good luck, because that's how it should be. Yeah. That's how you should have to try a case to convict on a count of attempted M. You should have enough evidence where if it was the only thing you were going in there and trying the case on, that you would be able to win. And there's just no way. There's no way.
And see, this ain't fair though, too, y'all, right? Because they throw in all them charges like that, right? And like Big George said earlier, oh, if one group feel like this, another group feel like this, oh, I'll throw you a bone. Let me roll the dice. Hopefully you get a 7 or 11. Man, that is dangerous. Oh, and then they throw all these charges like that. Oh, my.
I want to talk to some other people about that too. And I think I will as we go forward, but because it was very different than the actual M charge. Like they had so much more on the M charge than they did on the attempt charge, like what was in his stomach. That fentanyl actually made its way into his stomach, but we don't need to go round and round about that. So, but as it comes to the actual count 1 M charge, the aggravated M charge, what are your thoughts on that? I know you're not surprised, but do you think that it's, an injustice or anything like that based on the evidence that was presented?
Well, I think it was an injustice, and I know we'll get to the closing.
Hold up. I ain't seen this. He just said, I think it was an injustice. Oh my God, shout out to Big George. Right, because I know I ain't crazy. I know I ain't crazy. I know what I was watching. Then I started letting my mind play tricks on me. And then my mind started, I know I wasn't crazy. I know I wasn't. And I started making myself believe I was crazy. Man, talk to me. He said it was an injustice.
Arguments, but I think that one of the key thoughts that a juror should have been put into a juror's mind is, if, let's say, and we know obviously this can't happen, that Eric comes back to life and there's a knock at the back of the courtroom door and he opens the courtroom door, he walks in and he says, gee, I'm really sorry, but I accidentally took those pills and that's what happened. Did the prosecution prove that Eric was lying? Did they prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Eric could not have taken those by accident? And if Eric came in and said he took it by accident, is the jury making a huge mistake here? Did that possibility really exist that he could have taken them accidentally? And did the prosecution prove he didn't take them accidentally?
Yeah, I think you could do that in a lot of cases. I think you can do that in a lot of cases, and I think that there's a reason we can't argue that.
Well, you can. Yes, you can. That's not a.
What? Hold up. Excuse me, Peter. You hear me? Yes, you can. Is he right, sir, Peter? He right. How did we don't know that? And this is another thing I was reaching out on. Like, think about this. If you know how you with somebody and they have their family, you have your family, like that other family that your others have got, boy, you gonna do some shit with them that your family don't even know about, right? And what bothered me with this, right? She like to say it was the lack of oxygen when you were caught. Really? And look, what bothered me, right? The sister got on there and said, oh, we didn't know he was taking gummies, but he used to tell you about his sex life. Oh, really? That I was like, are you kidding? You didn't know he was taking gummies? But he used to tell you about his sex life. Ooh.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that argument.
I've never heard it before because, I mean, listen, if it's a reasonable alternative, like the defense argued, and it can be a reasonable doubt, then fine. But I mean, I think that you can do that in a lot of cases to say that, if they came back to life and told you this was the truth, how would you know it's not the truth? And you're saying the jury needs to be able to answer that question.
Because it has to be to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt.
Yeah. So you're saying that the jury has to have the evidence to answer that question. I guess that is fair. That's a fair argument. It's a fair argument.
Okay.
Yeah. And so did the jury have enough to exclude him saying, if he walked in here tomorrow and said it was an accidental overdose, did they have enough evidence to exclude that as a reasonable possibility? I don't think they did.
And so their answer would be yes, we did, because we know Kouri wanted to kill Eric because she told her friend she'd be better off if she was dead. She'd be set for life if he was no longer with us. She tried to change the insurance. She signed his name on the insurance. She asked Carmen for something stronger after February 14th.
Hold up, Peter. She signed his name. That's a lie. They did say she signed. And I know he ain't saying she did it, but he said that's what they was thinking. But that's not true. Because you can't say I probably think she did that. It has to be hardcore facts. I know that ain't what Peter's saying, but that's what the jury contemplating in their head.
And the night started at 9 p.m. She talked about Moscow Mule and lemon shot or whatever, and got the fentanyl. And Eric died of fentanyl overdose.
You're redoing the prosecution. You're redoing the prosecution's closely.
I'm trying to go through in my mind how they would answer that question.
Hey, to tell you the truth, I don't know. No, I truly don't know. I truly don't know. But this case didn't tell me that he did or he didn't. The sprinkle, I'm talking about the infinity of sprinkle of reasonable doubt was all over this case. I'm not saying that he did or he didn't.
They would have to believe.
And like I say, that 6-minute call, that dude make you think about it. Like, but can you imagine if you got to think we don't know how different people gonna react. Oh, Lord, I'm frustrated.
All of those steps and the way the evidence is set forth. And if they do, then that's how they would answer your question as far as Eric walking in and saying, I accidentally took him. They'd be like, no, but that's where you get into the possible doubt versus reasonable doubt. Because, Eric could come down and say, I drank a drink earlier in the day that could have had fentanyl in it because I bought it from some guy off the streets. Okay, that's a possible doubt, but is that a reasonable doubt? So you also have to go through that analysis as well, because it's not going to be beyond all possible doubt. It's not going to be with 100% certainty. So I really think it just comes down to how they viewed the evidence and the credibility of the evidence, especially with.
Did I know that Eric had back pain, knee pain, all this other pain? He truly did. I mean, oh wait, this is tough, y'all.
Carmen and Robbie.
Well, I think that when it jump ahead to the jurors.
So let's go to the fact that it was only a 3 hour.
Another thing, they had her medicine in their system, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all, right? And this is honest with y'all. I see couples take each other medicine. I promise y'all that. And if anybody on here who done been around, y'all know couples who take people medicine who it's not be subscribed for them, and they say, oh, this will work for you. I know couples like that. Now tell me I'm lying, y'all. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me y'all don't know couples like that. I know couples, people in my family, people who I know, they take each other medicine. They tell them it worked for this. I can't prove that Eric took her medicine, but I'm telling you, if I'm a juror and I'm thinking like, I know people who take people medicine that it's not prescribed. I know people like that. I truly do, y'all. And I'm not just saying this. And I know everybody know somebody like that. I know y'all do.
Our deliberation. What were your thoughts on that?
Okay. Really short. I was really, really surprised that they would take that little amount of time knowing a person's life was in their hands. So I was very surprised that they did not at least roll over to 2 days. I mean, it's a 3-week trial. You think they would say, you know what, we got to take more time on this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here and they spent a lot of time and money. We really have to take some time. They didn't feel that way at all.
Man, she like Texas. Mama Texas. I'm so serious, right? Man, I know people in my family, y'all. I know people around me, y'all. Like, I know about Seroquel, never took it, but I know people in my family used to give people the Seroquel stuff. Is it right? No. But that happens. And you telling me these people on this stand, when the judge say use your common sense, now listen, it could be damaging if you look at it that way. Like Nona's saying. But could you also have the possibility to think, hey man, some people take, because y'all know that Seroquel, what I know it do, it puts you out to where you like feeling good and you're sleeping, you ain't like whoop-de-whoop. That's what I know about it. And I'm just being honest.
3 hours is lightning speed for a jury, especially on an M charge.
Yeah, I agree that it's fast. Do you think that it automatically means they did not deliberate properly?
No, I don't think that. I think that I think they just had their mind made up.
They were convinced. I mean, that's the point. They were convinced, and sometimes that happens in trials, and sometimes, but it's not like they didn't talk, right? Because I heard some people talking about the fact that like there's no way they could have ever deliberated if it was only 3 hours. We have seen 15-minute verdicts. I think I just heard one of my buddies got an 8-minute verdict the other day. Like,
no, we've had 5.
I'm trying to see to myself, right? How could this case be a 3-hour verdict? How could this be a 3-hour verdict, my people? How can you have your mind made up? How could they have their mind made up? How? They didn't test this her. How could they just have their mind made up? Now, if you think she guilty, like you like, man, yeah, she did it, but it's so much reasonable doubt there, right? But you just got to go, oh, I think she did it. When the reasonable doubt just getting thrown in your face like in abundance. What's Ethan on? Oh, wait. Oh, wait. And I know it was another lady who, man, I'm telling y'all, like, I'm gonna be up for a little while, so if y'all rocking with me, rock with me. If y'all go to sleep, I understand. Because it was another interview. We're gonna get through this. It's another with another juror where it's an in-depth interview. Oh, okay. I want to see that. Why the ladies coming out? Where the man that who claim they walk around with the testosterone in their ball sack? Where they're at? Why they not speaking out? Where are these 2 women coming out speaking out? Where are the men who testosterone grow and they supposed to have big balls not speaking? Ooh, wait.
I've had verdicts where the jury, one time the jury walked out of the courtroom, did not make it to the jury deliberation room. They're in the hallway walking, and they all said to themselves, does anybody think they're guilty? And nobody said, they just turned around before they even got to the jury room and came back into the courtroom and said they had a verdict. So that was like a 1-minute verdict, which, obviously is a record for me. I'll never forget it, but 1 minute.
I've never had one like that. Most of the civil cases, like we did have a multi-million-dollar verdict recently with like a 2-hour deliberation. So it's like when you've got to add up 7 figures of dollars and past and future medical bills, and you do that in 2 hours, like to me, that can be more difficult than filling out the paperwork in a case like this.
I really want to see the lawyer, I know I asked the other day, but I want to see him work, in a trial. I know he's good. You could just tell by the way he's talking and who he's schooled by his dad, Big George, that he good at what he do. But damn, I wish it was some video out here of him in the courtroom doing this thing.
I think 3 hours, was it quick? Were they convinced? Were they sure? Which frankly, that's how you want them to be. You want a jury to be sure of their verdict, especially if they're going to convict somebody. This jury seemed very sure of this verdict, and that's what goes to the 3 hours. I don't think it, and I'll just tell you, and and you can talk about this more than I can. You've done more criminal appeals. That is not a argument for appeal that, you automatically did not deliberate for long enough, because you've made those types of arguments before, and it's not a winning argument.
No, it's a total loser. Yeah, because the presumption of a jury verdict is correct. Right. And if you don't presume jury verdicts are correct, then you're going to have a real problem in our system.
And it really shouldn't be. You should prove that they're correct, or you should assume that they're correct, or presume, sorry. Another important thing I wanted to ask you was...
Presume they're correct. How could I presume it's correct in 3 hours with all the reasonable doubt I've seen over the 3 weeks? So how could a regular person like me presume that? I'm just asking.
The change of venue. So they asked for a change of venue. People think it's going to be a part of the appeal potentially. This jury verdict comes back pretty quick. Maybe they.
No, I want to see him in the court because he just said, he's civil has not been up. Damn, I wish he was, man. Well, I want to see him work, man.
Knew about the case, maybe they didn't, whatever. Do you think that's going to be something that's going to be in the argument for change of venue, that this jury must have known about the case in a different venue?
Hell yeah. Now, before he said that, y'all remember I was saying earlier, right? This case should have never been in Utah. And like, who said that? Let me see. Ocean, the Mormon jury, youngest in their 40s, right? And she like Texas agreed. I agree too. Man, them Mormons, bro, this, she was guilty before she even went to trial, bro. This case was too big. They telling me all them Mormons or this was big in Utah where all them seeing this. Man, come on, man. And we just supposed to presume, like they told me that they did their due diligence after seeing Corman lie to the judge after she got her deal for what that's called after she got her deal where nothing would happen to her if she testified, right? I forgot that word. I'm just going a million miles an hour right now. How could you believe that she got her deal? She lied to the judge so she could go see her boyfriend. Oh, wait. Immunity. Oh my God, man. Oh, this what bothers me the most. Them jurors took in no consideration of that woman lying to the judge who gave her immunity just to go see her boyfriend. Oh my.
We would have got more of a fair shake where the jury took it more seriously, took more time with it. Is that going to be part of the appellate argument, do you think?
Not a successful one.
Right.
They may try to make it, but no success. They got a jury, and the jury deliberated and came to a verdict. No chance.
And we didn't see the jury selection, so it's possible that they asked for more challenges. They wanted to strike some of the jurors that ended up getting on the jury, and they did everything right. We don't really know that. I'm assuming with these lawyers, they really did a lot to protect the record. So if there were venue issues, I would assume that they did everything to protect the record.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's get to the closing arguments now. Let's start with the state. Tell me your thoughts.
Overall thought, it was an excellent closing argument.
Okay.
I've got to say he did a fabulous job. Tremendous preparation. The audio visual was excellent. I don't think this is a very large office, from what I understand, that it's not large departments. So they spent a lot of money, and they had to go out and get private contractors, I'm sure, to do their audio visual stuff. But it was an excellent audio visual presentation. He did a tremendous job of going through. I think he did a great job of telling the story. He did a great job of keeping a consistent theme throughout his closing. That is, comes from nothing and wants to be something, even though it's a phony something. She wanted to be something. And this is, how she created her facade and how she had to, keep that facade going. And that, she wasn't good at it, but she sure tried to make other people think she was good at it. So that was a great, humble beginnings kind of thing at the beginning. They did he did just an excellent job. His demeanor was good. He spoke clearly. And another thing he did that, people sometimes ignore is he spoke with authority, that when he said something, it was believable that it was true. Even though he would say things like,
now listen, I'm not, don't got the mindset, shout out to the beautiful Jordan. I don't got the mindset of them, right? But one thing I knew that this dude didn't do, he didn't bring up the lead detective. None in his closing arguments. I'm not them, so it's hard. I'm not them. But it's just hard for me if I'm on a juror to be like, why you not talking about the lead detectives and the screw-ups he made? Oh, wait. Because to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I thought that woman did an excellent job in closing, and the criticism I seen her get on live, I thought she was better than them. Like I said, you could talking about, she was very ambitious. Okay, who ain't ambitious, right? And like somebody said on her Dorena, bringing up her mom gambled and her dad was an alcoholic. Ooh, wait. Damn. That right there, I mean, they said that was an excellent closing. Oh, wait. I mean, that's Big George. I can't say nothing about it. But I'm just that was like when I thought like that's just like because I have Alan Jackson brought up the detective and the mistakes he made during the trial, like and oh wait.
Only stick to the evidence. That's why we've got these, visual aids or what, because we're going to show you the evidence, not, the lawyer's opinions, which is not evidence, but the evidence.
And the citations,
honestly,
specifically the citations.
But it really wasn't true. He showed the citations, and then he would give his opinion about each one of them and what they meant. So he didn't just, he would say something, and it could be interpreted two ways, but he would tell you, this is the way to do it. And because of that, again, authority. We said it in the opening. He didn't make things sound like it was possible.
I mean, what I'm hearing, the great Big George says he manipulated his words. That's what I'm heard, right? But he did it in a legal way. But he manipulated his words to say this is not our evidence, but I'm gonna give you my opinion in the manipulating of his words type of way. Yeah, the PI. And what he was allowed to do, put trackers everybody's car to save he could access police numbers. Yeah, man, oh my. Like I said, I'm not better than these guys. I'm just, whoop.
Well, he made things sound like they were fact. And that's the way he did it in his closing. So he did an excellent closing. He did a great job of putting the transcript testimony side by side. He also did a pretty good job of ignoring some of the problems in his case. For instance, Robbie, as an example, he ignored Robbie's testimony by putting on Robbie's audio.
Right, which was an evidence.
And of course, it's better because the jury would have to have remembered Robbie's testimony, but they actually saw the video testimony during the closing. So, that was a really good technique. And I remember earlier we talked about the fact.
Well, they said technique. Damn. Oh, wait. You can get convicted off techniques. Technique. And that's the lawyer thing, but he said good technique. Oh my God. And Jordan, I'm praying for you, baby. Yeah, he ignored Robin, Corman, and Driscoll. Yeah, he did a great job of being full of bullshit. You ain't lying, though. You ain't bullshit. Boy, this is mind-boggling me. And I salute to the great Big Judge. He said he did good. That was a great technique. Damn, you can get convicted off techniques. Oh my God. Somebody help me, please.
Fact that they had text messages and things, but they weren't reading them to the jury, but they were just putting them in evidence. Well, he had all those text messages up there to actually show them and read them, and he had them highlighted. He did just a tremendous job of presenting that. Let's see what. And I think, again, to me, and I think it's going to be borne out. The real key piece of evidence that I really thought was key was the number of cell phone hits. They didn't know what was said, maybe on the cell phones, but they knew how many times they had hits at particular locations. And there were a lot. So extraordinary number of communications at particular locations. And I think that was really important because I think Carmen was not credible. I don't think they would have convicted just on Carmen, if that's all they had. I think that the prosecutor did a good job of showing they had more than just Carmen to show that she committed this. And the cell phone records were some of that. And we can go through the whole thing, which I don't think we need to do. He also did a good job of showing conflicts between journal entries, times, interesting, point, again, his interpretation, but it took her 6 minutes to start CPR. That wasn't, I think.
Oh, wait, that was a big one right there. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. That 6 minute, it frustrated me, like. That was bad. It was bad. but it was a lot of stuff that they did that was bad too. But that was bad, right?
That was a good argument. And you talked about it, but the 9:15 p.m. is where she started with the drink. When she started telling her story about what happened that night, that was a good argument. He also showed that she would say she screamed, but on the 911 calls, there was no screaming. He had a lot of things to paint her bad, as a bad person, as a liar, and as a person you couldn't trust. And so, again, that was the key. I think we said that at the beginning. The key to their prosecution is she is so bad that she did commit this M. And, that's what it was. The fact that she had again, we don't need to go through all the testimony, but it just showed that over and over again, they were able to make comparisons and put the visual aids up that were really good, well organized. Another thing he did, which I thought was good, he didn't read a lot of notes. He looked at the screens, and he knew what he wanted to say based on the visual aid. He would point to whoever was doing them. They would put up the next visual aid, and he went right to it and right to the heart. There wasn't a lot of pauses, and there wasn't a lot of the fact, he had to really think what he was going to say. The other thing is, and again, we talked about this, I think he had built up credibility with the jury. I think that was really important. I think the jury believed it when he said it. And
what credibility he built up with him, making faces at him the whole time because he was closer to him, making faces towards him. And I remember, one of her lawyers telling the judge, and judge said he didn't see that. And I was clearly looking, and I know I seen that dude making faces. Oh my God.
And so that's an intangible that you really have to look at. But I mean, I'm a person, I looked at him and, I'm skeptical of prosecutors, but I'm sure everybody would know that. To me, if I was looking at him, he to me looked credible and believable when he gave his closing argument.
So I think one of the things that can't be understated is his demonstrative aids. Like you said, they were his outline, which helps a ton, but also it helps things stick in the jury's mind. And he had some very memorable ones, like whatever that animal was pooping against the wall and like the outline of the person. And he's like, we know what happened here. So it's like things like that the jury is going to remember, maybe even some that were funny, even in not a funny moment, but whatever it may be, something that the jury's going to remember. We've used the Spider-Man meme where everybody's pointing to each other, meaning it's the same thing. There are really ways that you can connect with jurors without using your words for jurors that learn differently. And his was just so much better than the prosecutors on the way that he presented it to the jury.
Better than the defense.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Better than the defense. Sorry. But one thing that I felt during his closing argument was that it was so long. Did you think that it felt long, or did you feel like it felt like the right amount of time to make the arguments he needed to make?
I was not bothered by the length. I never.
Obviously, he won. It worked. Everybody on hindsight could be like, "Wow, his closing was so amazing. What a great job. He convicted everybody." Fine. I'm just saying, like, as far as like a lawyer, if you're putting together a closing, did that feel long to you based on how long the trial was?
It did not, because again, I listened to it via YouTube, and it did not appear too long to me. I found that he did a really good job, and when we get to, I want to talk about how he ended the first part of his closing, because I thought that was also very important. Yeah, okay, how he ended it. He ended it by ripping the defense lawyer's opening statement apart and talking about, you saw no, they said the evidence will show this. They say the evidence will show that. Did you see any evidence that showed that? There was no evidence that showed that. He went through it over and over again. And that is a huge mistake by the defense. I blame the defense for that. They should not have given an opening. If they were not 100% positive that they were going to do this, this, or this, they should not have mentioned it in their opening. They didn't need to. They should have only done the stuff they were sure of. The fact that they took a chance like that without being 100% sure of what they were going to do, huge mistake, and he made them pay for it. I think it was
without burden shifting, because you have to be very careful not to burden shift, but you're allowed to. And we talked about it in the Walsh case, and those prosecutors did not do it enough, in our opinion, based on what the Walsh attorney said and did, and their theories. They were just like, we'll stay away from it. But this prosecutor, I think, did it more appropriately, number one. Number two, it wasn't just in their opening, but in hindsight, as I'm thinking back on the trial, there were so many times, and I believe a lot of them were in front of the jury. I know some of them were outside the presence of the jury, but a lot of them in the jury, they would say stuff like, we'll recall that witness, or we'll call an expert to talk about that, or, we'll wait till we bring you back up on the stand then to talk about that, because they were trying to do their directs within the cross-examination, which, looking back on it now, does look kind of shady if you were trying to squeeze it in there without having a case in chief. Maybe that's looked at as inappropriate, but there is some case law that if they would have been allowed to do that throughout the case, that, the prosecution will be able to have a rebuttal case, but they could have done that within their case. The judge could have allowed it. So there's all sorts of legal mechanics and gymnastics that can happen there. But I think they made comments in front of the jury as well that made the jury think they were going to bring evidence. And then when you don't put that evidence up, like, jurors are not breaking this down like a law school class.
This is my thing right here. you could say you're gonna do something, but you know, when I listen to a lot of these people, they tell me, you know, you're gonna be able to improv during the trial because things go differently. And and I'm looking at, even though they said they was gonna bring something, you know, the blasphemy we seen, you know, that was the improv to where if the jury would have really went back and looked at, and paid attention, they'll see why they didn't have to do that, because they was able to do that with all them witnesses. But hey, they already had her convicted. This was in Utah. You know, these jurors, they came in there ready to just say guilty.
Where, oh, they have no burden of proof, whatever. They're thinking these people told me they were going to persecute me. They didn't. So what am I doing? Because, you know, what they said didn't happen. How they said it, that's not how it came out. And it just creates issues.
Yeah, see, and that's different than the burden of proof.
I think the prosecutor did a great job at making her look like a bad person. I truly do. But just because you look like a bad person or that you are one, that doesn't mean you're fucking guilty, bro. Right? Like, come on now.
Right. Because when you think about it, the jurors are going to say, right, the jurors are going to say, well, I know that they don't have the burden of proof, but, you know, they did say they were going to do this and they didn't. You know, so again, you're right. So it just hurt their credibility.
You know, but what the prosecutors do, this is why I'm confused at. And I can't go against what they say, but I'm thinking to myself, what the prosecutors do? You know, what that leave it to beaver looking mother shut your mouth do? They didn't say nothing about the Driscoll. He didn't say nothing about how these people.
They just kept their mouth shut. And that's what I'm saying. I blame the defense for leaving themselves open to the way that he closed the first part of his closing statement.
And the defense said during theirs, he said that, you know, we didn't do X, Y, and Z, and strategies changed during trial. That's the only comeback she had. And I was like, that's
not the truth. Strategies don't change. I guess that they ain't said no, don't do that. Okay, I'm sorry.
I almost exploded. I almost exploded when she said that, because the juries don't know strategies. What do you think came to their mind? What thing came to their mind? Isn't your strategy to prove her, you know, to make her innocent? Isn't your strategy for a not guilty verdict? I mean, what changed here?
I actually think strategy can be a negative buzzword. Like, oh, you're trying to trick us with your strategy and your, you know, twisting of things like lawyers do. I think strategy could have been a negative buzzword for this jury. So what did you think about the defense's closing?
You know, I hate to kind of say this because I do hate saying things like this.
Ooh.
But she did not have credibility with the jury. So when she said things, it wasn't necessarily that the jury believed it.
But how did she have credibility with the jury, Big George? How, sir? How did she have credibility? I thought it was about stating facts. Oh, wait.
You know, when she interpreted evidence the way she thinks it should be interpreted, it was so blasé that it didn't have a lot of passion. The prosecutor was far more passionate and strong. I think she was weak in her closing and in her presentation. She said some things that were reasonably good. She tried to explain some things that were reasonably good. I don't.
She explained the walk the dog letter exactly like you said.
Yeah,
the walk the dog letter could absolutely be true. Why didn't they investigate this? Why didn't they investigate that? She hammered O'Driscoll just like you said. I thought there were some good points made, and I think it's easy to look back now and be like, oh, she sucked. But I thought she made some good points as far as the walk the dog letter and O'Driscoll. If you agree with it, I completely disagree with her view of the walk the dog letter. I agree with her view of O'Driscoll. I think he was horrible. I think he did not do a good investigation. At least he didn't explain it well on the stand. And I think the way that they pushed Carmen and how she had, you know, maybe he got the dog pulled out of somebody else. I think there were some good points, but I do agree with you that she lacked credibility. And the walk the dog letter to me was just such an implausible argument that you made last week and she made during closing. I was just like, there's no way that it's true. Like this is not how somebody writes a true statement in a true story. It's just not. I do agree. I think the better argument is, which jurors aren't going to believe this, but innocent people lie too. Innocent people will ask witnesses to lie for them too. I think that's more true than what's in the walk the dog letter is true.
Listen, This why I'm bothered, right? This why I'm bothered. You supposed to hammer the lead detective. Is you not? You know, somebody was on here telling me about how, you know, man, look at women in the Mormon community, like they beneath them, right? So it was them 6 men, you know, who got the so-called testosterone in their ball sack, having spoken, that's it, they look at that defense lawyer like she was beneath them. That's what I heard. I mean, that's what I heard. You know, Mormon look at women like they're beneath them.
That to me is like, poop, I don't believe anything else you said. That's kind of my feel.
She also, I mean, you know, she explained the deleted messages as, you know, she didn't want people to know about her affair or drug use or those kind of things. You know, she had some explanations, but you know what? As far as I'm saying, you forgot her explanation as soon as she finished talking. You know, she didn't hammer it. She didn't hammer Carmen like she.
I didn't hammer Carmen. Please, somebody tell me, please. This is me. How she didn't hammer Carmen? She did. Y'all didn't see that? I thought Driscoll and... wait.
You know, she said the right things about Carmen, but she didn't hammer Carmen like she should have hammered. And she certainly didn't hammer the prosecutors. Because another thing that I thought...
She didn't hammer the prosecutors. I could have swore I heard... Okay, I'm listening.
That she did, and this is a common mistake for lawyers. She prepared her closing, not caring what the prosecutor said. You know, it was obvious that she prepared this closing, and she was going to say it just like she prepared it the night before, and she made no adjustments for the things the prosecutor said in their closing. And that's why, you know, when I've and sometimes you've questioned me about this, is that when I do that, I don't write out word for word my closings. And I do it by
my closings word for word. I don't know anybody that writes out their word for word closings.
And I do it by bullet points to make sure that I cover certain topics. She had this all written out, you could just tell, and she did not adjust, and she should have, for some of the good arguments that the prosecutor presented in his closing. And she should have addressed those better than she did, other than just what she had prepared the night before. So I fault her for not being pliable and not being able to adjust her closing to attack the prosecution. And she didn't attack them. The prosecutor attacked them like crazy, was all over the way that, you know, they presented their case, or they did their cross-examination, or how they did their opening statement. She should have attacked that prosecutor, but she just, you know, let him alone and just, you know, said the words she wanted to say on her page, and that was it, with very little really passion.
Yeah,
that's really where I fault.
And you can do both, right? You can have your prepared closing, but you also have to have a response to what the prosecutor said. And he did finish, or she did try to deal with some of the prosecution's case, but not as much respond to the closing argument. And I just think she was not as good of a presenter or orator as the prosecutor was. That always makes it difficult. She stayed right behind the podium the whole time. What I get onto you more is I literally don't care about writing out a closing. I would never recommend writing a closing. Is when you're cross-examining a witness and you have sticky notes on every single page of a binder, and so we're sitting here flipping back and forth. The binder's breaking and papers are falling. I'm just like, oh, that's what gives me the sweats sitting over at counsel table, not closing.
You know,
I'm worried about closing.
I'm doing one right now.
Yeah.
With a huge binder. You know the case.
Yeah.
And I've got this huge binder. In fact, the last couple of days I've been putting sticky notes all over the binder.
Yeah. I would have page and line numbers and PDF set up and pull up the first PDF, exhibit 1, 2, 3. Just, you know, different ways. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, they say. So overall, I thought that her closing argument was, it did make me, you said she had no passion. I think she believed Kouri was innocent, at least in how she was arguing, kind of how you say you believe your argument by the end of every case. I do think she believed that. It's always interesting to me, and you know, you can tell me your thoughts, how it feels to make a closing argument that you absolutely believe. I think she did show some passion, so I'll disagree with you a little bit there. I think she did show some passion. So you absolutely believe this argument, you give this argument, and 2.5 hours later, the jury comes and kicks you in the teeth and is like, guilty. We don't believe anything you say. We don't find you credible at all. You know, that's happened to all of us. You know, we make this closing argument, especially as criminal defense lawyers, and you go and lose and your client's guilty. What is that feeling like?
Well, I don't want to say you shake it off, but you've got to, you got to trust the jury system. Even though I know I've said that I disagree with what the jury did in this case, I still believe in the jury system. And the toughest part really isn't the fact that you lost. The toughest part is that you have a client that you have to talk to after that loss that may be going to prison for a very long time. And you've got to try to explain to them that there is still hope, that there are appeals, and that you are still out there fighting for him, and that there still may be some future justice here. Mm-hmm. That's the toughest part, is the conversation with the client after the jury comes back. Me personally, my ego isn't such that if I lose a case, it hurts my ego. I feel more for the client than I do for myself.
Yeah. I think that it is. You have to realize it's part of the job. It is not. Sometimes it's a reflection of your ability as a lawyer. Usually not. Usually it's the facts of the case, the evidence of the case. That's what happens. And so that's what you have to tell yourself, and that's what gets you getting up and continuing to fight for people's rights. Because if every time you lost, you're like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. Then you're not made to be a criminal defense lawyer. That's for sure. So when we talk about 3 hours, obviously it was a pretty quick verdict. Some of the jurors, maybe just one juror has come out. Oh, go ahead.
Can we talk about the rebuttal?
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about that yet.
Yeah,
go for it.
Because he did a tremendous rebuttal. And again, it was the, hey, we look at the evidence. Lawyers don't, I'm not going to give you my, look at but that's all he did.
He said that, then he tells him what he believes the walk the dog letter actually meant.
Right. And in fact, he looked at the walk the dog letter, and he read the walk the dog letter the way he thinks the letter meant, which I thought was great. I got to tell you, I thought he did a tremendous job by interpreting the walk the dog letter. That was a great way to close it. And the other thing, and I don't know, again, was not addressed by the defense, was the 3 times at the gas station. I thought that 3 times at the gas station was a pretty good piece of evidence, and he saved it for a rebuttal.
You mean that they had another deal after Eric died?
No, they actually showed where they went to the gas station every time they did the drug deal. The only time that Carmen had ever been at that gas station was the times when they did the drug deal.
Right. What are you saying is important that he stuck out? They mentioned that, I thought, in both closings, didn't they?
I don't think she mentioned it.
I know it was mentioned in opening by them as well.
Yeah, I don't think the defense mentioned that. Okay. But then the fact that she was, the autopsy, they talked about the phone call, how she would feign ignorance. He went through all that in his rebuttal, that she would be fishing for information, even though she knew the end. It was her prescription. So how did she not know what it was when they were talking to the medical examiner's office? And she's not a very good writer. That was kind of an interesting comment by him. And then how she would trade on death and her children, the death of her husband and her children. She traded on that with the book. And there was no other rational explanation. That's the way he ended it. So I think he did a tremendous close. Like I said, the walk the dog thing was classic. It really is. What he did on that was really excellent.
Yeah, and so like I said, one juror has come out and spoken, and a lot of it had to do with his rebuttal. So she was basically saying that everybody had a different kind of smoking gun. Some people thought it was the walk the dog letter. Some people thought the walk the dog letter wasn't the most significant thing. They were all kind of appalled when they heard she wrote the children's book, which, makes you think that they thought you're only appalled if you think she did it, right? Like, so they all thought she did it. Then when they heard she wrote the children's book, the way that the state laid out the evidence in the case, basically proving that she did it to this jury and then showing her how despicable she was after the fact. That's basically what they showed her in the timing of the children's book and the walk the dog letter. So it worked perfectly for the state because they convinced the jury. And that's the point of a trial. The state has to convince the jury. They have to force the jury into the guilty pool. So did you look at any of the comments by the jurors? Have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I do. I thought it was interesting that some people, by the way, I know you talked about the walk the dog letter and how you think it can only be read one way. There were jurors that did not believe it could be read only one way. And they did not assign significance to the walk the dog letter.
That's different.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's if you read it the way the prosecution said, it's phenomenally significant. Well, so, come on, how can it not be significant if you believe the prosecutor?
Innocent people lie too. Innocent people want people to lie for them so they don't go to prison as well.
Yeah. She felt the cell phone pings, the cell phone data was really important. Because she also said they really didn't think Carmen was very credible.
One thing I love their dynamic in their relationship. You could tell they father and son because they do the same thing, right? To each other. Right. You could tell that. And that dynamic is so strong, right? Because you could tell Big George well-schooled Peter, right? You could just tell it, right? And Peter got so good at it, right? So you could just see the dynamic. I love it.
Or Robbie.
On their own, maybe, like, without the
right.
corroboration, but that helped them kind of secure it all together.
Right. But they said on their own, they didn't think they were very credible. But when you look at the cell phone pings, that made them credible. The other thing that's important about what you said, I mean, it's not going to come up in the appeal because it's not part of the record. But when you asked the question earlier about change of venue, how interesting was it to you, it was to me, that this jury did not know about the book?
Well, yeah,
because you would think that anybody who had any knowledge about this trial beforehand would know she wrote the book.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. How could nobody in Utah, Salt Lake City, not know, man? And that woman acted like she knew nothing.
Because that was a big part of why this trial was so, newsworthy.
Wasn't that like the title of it or the slogan of it, like children's book author murder case or something? I think that was like part of the title for this entire trial.
Yeah.
So that was good.
But
You're
so
right.
really, yeah. So, I mean, really surprising that these people, they said it was like a gut punch. I forget the word she used, but it was a significant feeling that they got by the fact that she wrote this book. So again, looking at this, obviously they thought she was a bad person. Oh, another thing she said that I thought was interesting. If you believe it, or maybe she's trying to minimize it, but if she said at the very beginning of the trial, they were feeling sorry for her, that they felt that she was there all alone and this big wealthy family was ganging up on her. And so they had sympathy for her at the beginning of the trial.
What?
And so, that's something that's really
Who believed that they had sympathy for her? I'm about to
really important that I think that the defense might have played a little more on is, her, being all alone, in this big cruel world, and everybody was picking on her. Although they did say that she was the only suspect. But
they definitely were talking about the money and the sisters and the private investigator and the accountant all paid for by them and the brother-in-law. They definitely tried to build that narrative. I think it partially worked, obviously not enough, but partially worked.
Yeah. So, I thought it was, interesting. I only saw a snippet, so I have not seen the entire interview. I don't know if it was longer than the 3 or 4 minutes that I saw.
Yeah, that's all I've seen so far as well.
Yeah. So that was it. So, what can I say? Hey, you win some, you lose some. If I was a defense lawyer, I would have done what they did. I would not have put a case on. I would have thought that we were better off not putting a case on. I would have thought we were better off not putting the defendant on and relying on the closing argument. But I also would have, in my opening statement, prepared for the fact that I would not put on a case and not put the defendant on, and, so I would not have hamstrung myself into a particular situation. I would have left my options open.
Yeah, I think I would have put on a case in chief, if only to put on some experts to talk about the drugs and how they could look the same and how people died accidentally of fentanyl and people thought they were getting oxy and it was actually fentanyl, or how pills can be laced with fentanyl. I think I would have developed that a little.
Now, that's one thing I agree with Peter about. If I wouldn't have brought nobody else on there, I would have brought experts. But I also agree with the defense. It was too much reasonable doubt to even have to put on the case in chief. And this is my thing right here. Why do you have to tell the jury that you ain't going to do something? Why? Why should the jury take that into account that you're not going to do nothing? They'll be like, hey, shout out to Mama _ Kiki in the building, salute. Why would the jury take that into account just because you don't put on the case in chief? They're not, we. A
little bit more. And then, I definitely would never have put Kouri on. Like What
about the brother? The one she wrote the dog letter to.
I think that could have gone either way.
It seems, it seems kind of strange they didn't, that he was not ever thought about as a witness or anything in their opening. They didn't say he was going to testify. Or
we don't know that he was never thought about, but I think that, obviously he could have been good, but he could have been really, 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 really bad as well. And they had tons of recorded phone calls with him. So I think if he would have testified, those jail calls would have come out even more, and potentially he would have been caught in lies and impeached and, looked like he's trying to lie for Kouri. And, he would have had to answer for the walk the dog letter. Is this actually?
Oh, he would have came out and looked like he was lying. Oh, him? Oh, the people we see on stand who was lying and not knowing this and getting caught up. Oh, but he would have came on there. Oh my! Somebody help me, please.
True. Why didn't you produce these text messages? Did Eric actually say this to you? Why would Kouri have had to remind you of that? There was a lot of fodder for him. And the mom, there's stuff going on with the mom. I guess too, people are asking because there was a lawyer appointed for her within this case. I don't know, so I'm not going to speculate about what that means. But so I think there was potentially a lot of reasons why they didn't call her mom or her brother, but those would have been the most obvious witnesses to choose during the defense's case in chief.
Let me ask you too, because you obviously know more about this case than I do. Some of the things they said in the defense opening statement that the prosecutor said, did you see any evidence of that? Did they have a wiretap on her phone for a year, or were they recording her conversation on Kouri's phone? Were they recording her conversations?
I think because he claims it. I think it was the jail calls. Oh. Yeah, that's what I picked up from that. I think there was a lot of jail calls. I didn't listen to all of them, but I think there was a lot of jail calls.
So I think they were referring to the jail calls.
I think so. I can't remember what you're specifically talking about. I mean, obviously there was a phone call
that the prosecutor said. Go ahead.
There was a phone call that Kouri's friend recorded as well. So there may have been recorded phone calls that were like self-serving by Kouri and her friends as well, because we listened to one of those with Bryce and Chelsea, Kouri's friend, that Chelsea recorded. So there was more than just the jail calls, but I think the majority of the recorded phone calls were jail calls. But I'm not sure. They could have bugged their phone. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I don't either. It was an interesting comment by the prosecutor that the defense said in their opening. And again, I would have thought we would have heard something about that during the trial. So
yeah. So any other thoughts about the jurors, about the verdict, about how the case ended? Any reason you think she's not going to get the max sentence to life without parole?
No, I don't. One thing that I think that I would like to mention, though, is the motion for mistrial.
Okay. After the closing, the first close of the prosecution.
Right. They did this motion for mistrial. And during the prosecution's case, I don't know if it was real quick and you had to listen to it really close. The defense objected to something. And when they stood up to object, the judge said, please be seated. So the judge clearly gave a signal that he didn't want any interruptions during these closing statements, and that you save everything, for the end, or save everything during a break. A lot of times, you'll interrupt at the time because some courts say you should make your objection right when the violation occurred. But this judge obviously clearly sent the signal that this wasn't going to happen in his courtroom, that you weren't going to interrupt somebody during their closing. So I thought that was interesting. The Black Widow, narcissist, and demeanor at counsel table. One of the things that the juror talked about was the demeanor at counsel table, that the jurors talked about how she was kind of unemotional, or, didn't show a lot of emotion at counsel table. So obviously they did take into account, whether they'll admit it or not, what her demeanor was at counsel table, which was specifically mentioned and improperly mentioned by the prosecutor during his closing argument. I think that's going to be a real good appellate argument. We talked about things that, dead bang losers. This is not a dead bang loser. This one's got a chance.
Yeah, why do you think he did that? I mean, obviously her demeanor was bad and questionable throughout the whole trial, but that's not evidence. It's not an appropriate argument. He's a seasoned prosecutor. He still decides to make that argument. And then now the reason it might not be a great appellate argument is because the judge did do a curative instruction. But even the judge's curative instruction to me was encouraging the jury to consider her facial expressions and demeanor during the trial. And I don't even know that that's appropriate. Because they're supposed to make their decision based on the evidence presented to them, and that's not evidence presented to them. So I do think that that's going to muck it up a little bit. I don't think it's going to be enough to win the argument, but especially if the jurors are coming out saying that had an effect on them, I just thought that was a real unforced error by him.
I agree. And so I wanted to mention that because I thought that was
the Black Widow comment and the narcissist comment. Fair argument.
Well, you've seen me make closing arguments.
It's fair argument.
Yeah. I mean, Black Widow's kind of a minor.
Right. Saying somebody's a narcissist is like, I wasn't saying the official, that she had official diagnosis. I'm saying she was a narcissist. Right. Everybody has like an idea of what a narcissist means. And I thought that was totally appropriate argument.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the only good one was that there's demeanor at counsel table, and the fact that the juror actually mentioned it during their interview.
Yeah.
I thought was interesting. Again, that's not going to be part of the record on appeal, but that's interesting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other final thoughts before we go on Kouri Richins?
Well, I thought it was an interesting case because it's a classic case of circumstantial evidence. It is an extreme case of circumstantial evidence, and I think that people can see how you can get convicted based on this kind of evidence, even though there's no eyewitness and no actual proof that you actually administered the fentanyl or how you administered the fentanyl, the manner in which it was administered. You can still be convicted of them.
yeah, I did like the way the judge answered the directed verdict argument that as long as Kouri intended to poison him and did poison him, she didn't have to specifically ask for fentanyl. It didn't have to be fentanyl. She didn't have to know it was fentanyl. She just had to have the intent to poison him and then successfully poison him, and she had to be the one to poison him. I did like that explanation and thought that was very fair, and how a reasonable juror could get to guilty on this case, and I agreed with that. I agreed with the judge's summation there. Okay, well, that's all we got. Those are my dad's thoughts on the verdicts and the closing arguments. If you guys have any more questions, throw them in the comments, and we can get back on to answer them. Dad, thanks for joining me along for another ride through another trial, but that's all we got. Till next time, we're out of here. Thanks for watching.
Man, shout out to Big George and Peter, right? Salute to them, right? Oh man, I mean, they probably my favorite, lawyers when it come to breaking the case. Now, shout out to Mama Kiki. She said she just came from the strip club. Where them dollars at? Where them dollars at? Where them dollars at? Where them dollars at? Man, I remember when they came out back in the day. What was the name of that girl who signed that shit? I forgot what it was, but that was the shit back in the day. Where them dollars at? Where them dollars at? Dollars at? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I think that was a part of what was that clique out of Memphis? Yeah, that was bad to me right there, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Ooh, that hurt just hearing that. Just hearing, them speak on that like that, right? That bothered me, right? Like, for real. Cause it's like, damn. No consideration, no nothing. It's just like, hey, we got you. We got you. Like that's what it was like, y'all. That's how I took it. We got you. We got you. That's how I took it. Right? Like, no evidence, no nothing. It's just we got you. Is that we doing? Like, we just, y'all felt sympathy for? So y'all went in a trial, right? How can you feel sympathy for this woman if you don't know what's going on in the trial and you ain't heard of it? How can you feel sympathy? Yeah, gangsta boo, that's right. How can you feel sympathy? Shout out to Mama Kiki. How can you feel sympathy for a woman if you so-called, right? This is why he didn't know what was going on in this trial. You ain't supposed to feel sympathy for nothing. You're supposed to come in there and have your boots laced up tight, right? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to come and have your boots laced up tight, right? That's what you're supposed to do. And they didn't do that. But I'm up still, y'all. Like, and I want to hear this second juror, right? Shout out to this guy right here, the insider. Y'all, I'm a courtroom insider. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to him. Because this second juror was on here. I ain't seen this. Let me see what's popping.
Insider, a special edition tonight. I'm 80. As you can see, I'm not in a studio. I'm not in a hotel room. I am in a hotel. And where I am right now, it's about 70 degrees. It's a beautiful spring night. I'm in San Diego. It's around 10:30 in the evening, and I'm here with my family on spring break. And the reason I'm coming to you today is because you are about to see an interview with one of the jurors in Kouri Richins' case, the Kouri Richins trial, who is breaking her silence and sharing her story for the first time. Her name is Christy. She was juror number 3. And she spent the last 3 weeks of her life in the courtroom every day taking fervent notes about the case, about the witnesses, the evidence, all of it. She didn't know anything about the case. Apologies for the people in the background. They have no idea what I'm doing here. And I appreciate their patience. She took fervent notes. She really, of course, paid attention to this. And she's going to kind of peel back the curtain on what things were like behind the scenes as far as coming up with a verdict, as far as meeting with her fellow jurors every day, as far as the witnesses, the testimony, all of it. You know, nothing is off limits for this interview. I just have to thank Christy for being willing to do this. And I'm so glad I can bring this interview to you. By the time you see it, it will be Friday morning. I felt this was important to do for you. So, by the way, we'd love to know where you're watching from. If you have any questions, please put those in the comments below. But for now, why don't you jump over to my interview with juror number 3, Christy.
All right, Christy, why don't we just start from the top? What did you know about the Kouri Richins case before you got a call for jury duty?
So I actually didn't know anything about the case.
Lying motherfucker. I actually didn't know nothing about the case. This lying motherfucker. She didn't know nothing about the case. You wide forehead. You know, I need to go sit in the sun and get a tan having woman. She had absolutely no idea about this case. Are you kidding me? Hold up, y'all. I'm sorry. Hold up.
Below. But for now, why don't you jump over to my interview with juror number 3, Christy.
All right, Christy, why don't we just start from the top? What did you know about the Kouri Richins case before you got a call for jury duty?
Yeah.
So I actually didn't know anything about the case. I am not a person who watches the news or reads the paper. We live on 50 acres out in the middle of nowhere, and my world is pretty well.
Oh, we live on 50 acres out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, I'm rich just like that other film. This liar. Man, I mean, okay. Let me stop it. Okay, let me just listen to you.
Contained, and I had heard that there was a murder in Summit County, but I didn't know if it was a man or a woman.
Oh, you heard. You heard? Oh, that's giving it up right there. You heard. Girl, if you heard it was a murder in Summit County, you heard. Oh my.
Or any details when I was called for jury duty. So I knew nothing.
Have you served on a jury before?
I have not.
Oh, wow. What a first time to be picked.
Yeah, it was a big surprise. We got the letter saying that that I was up for jury duty, and I filled out the questionnaire, and then they, it would be a couple months before we'd hear back. And then we found out that I was going to be in the pool for interviews, that we would have jury selection interviews. And even then I still thought there's no way. There's just no way. And they said on that what the case was, and they asked us some questions to see how much we knew. But again, I didn't know anything about it. And so I was really quite not naive, but I just went into this case with fresh eyes. I had no preconceived notions whatsoever.
So then did you find out right away that you were picked for the jury?
They told us it would take about a week, that they would email us and let us know on a certain day that was about 7 days away. And I got an email the next day
saying you're on the jury.
That I was on the jury. And my fellow jurors and I, we did talk about, when was your jury selection? When was yours? And most of us were all on the same day. Some of them were on the next day, the day after us, but I think they found what they needed fairly quickly, because I think we were one of the first days.
When you went in for the jury interviews, was Kouri Richins there in the courtroom?
No, actually our interviews were virtual. So
okay.
we sat in.
Oh, now I remember, I think that was Doreen or somebody else, virtual. So they didn't get a real feel of these people. I'm going to virtually be able to talk to you. Oh, my. And we followed the Edric Faust, and we know he was wrongly convicted, too. I watched that on Melanie Little, Queen Melanie Little channel. The virtual, oh, my, virtual
waiting room for several hours, waiting for your turn to be pulled in. And then once you got to when it was your turn to talk to the judge and the attorneys, I do not believe Kouri Richins was there. They didn't introduce her. So if she was, I don't recollect seeing her there. It was just the attorneys, and only the defense attorneys asked questions of me. The prosecution had none. The judge had a few questions. And I just really, it was a pretty short interview for me. It wasn't very long.
Think when they said this is a murder case and forgery and insurance fraud, I mean, did your mind start to, wonder?
It did. My mind definitely wondered, and I worried about what kind of emotional toll that kind of a case would take, and the time commitment and all of that. But I was prepared to do my civic duty. I felt like it was a pretty important responsibility and something I was not going to.
Did you feel like it was a real important responsibility doing your civic duty? 3 hours, lady? Okay, let's hear more.
To shirk away from, just because it was going to be unpleasant.
And even though they said it could be 5 weeks.
Yes, even though it was 5 weeks, we were, I was still prepared to be on it. I canceled the trip to go see my daughter and her husband because I just didn't want to risk airlines, delays, weather.
Oh, you knew nothing about this case, but you were ready to cancel this and do all of this, right? Oh, you was focused, man. Oh, you was focused because you say you heard that it was, you didn't know nothing about the case, but then you heard somebody got killed in Summit County. We stay on 50 acres. Oh, and you people ain't going to look up and see what happened? Or you ain't been knowing what's going on for the last 3 years, you liar.
And so I wanted to make sure that I was available once I found out that I had been picked.
Did your husband and friends and family members know the case once you said I've been picked?
I didn't tell a whole lot of people at first because, first of all, we're instructed not to. So I let some immediate friends know that would impact my ability to do some things that I had kind of committed to.
Oh, you let some immediate friends know. Oh, wow, really? You can tell people immediate friends. So you telling me common sense, them immediate friends ain't telling her what's going on? Y'all give me the details. I don't, if she says she don't know about this, please tell me. Like, come on, we nosy. Like, come on, y'all. Look at this woman.
And there, I found a mixed bag. My husband isn't a true crime junkie, so he did not know anything about the case. But where we live, just outside of Park City, is pretty, it's a small town. And so a lot of people had heard about it and were very excited that I was going to be a part of the process.
Yeah. So the first time you really saw Kouri Richins would have been the day of opening statements.
Yes.
And that's the first time you learned about the case. Do you remember what you thought?
She said she talked to some close friends or something like that. Like, come on, talking about her husband didn't know. Like, lady.
When you, first of all, you see her, that it's a woman on trial for killing her husband, and then you start to hear some of the details. What did you think?
It just made me sad at first. I mean, really, it was quite sad throughout the whole process. But to see her sitting there, I couldn't get a read on her. I had no idea what the whole scope of the case was, and I remember feeling really sad when I saw her, and she just seemed like a small, frail woman, and
you seem like you felt sad, and she like a small, frail woman. You and that forehead of yours saying that. Oh my.
They told us pretty early on in the case that they had children together, that her and Eric had a family. And so it just really broke my heart as the case began to unfold. But I was absolutely just determined to do my best to be open to all of the truth. I just really wanted to make sure that I didn't come in with any biases. They talked to us prior to court starting about unconscious bias, and really stressed that that is something you're going to have to fight. When you see somebody, you make you automatically make judgments, and you cast aspersions on just who you think they are, and it's all really rather quick when you see somebody that you've never seen before, that you make those judgments. And so I really tried to remember that with every witness, with Kouri, with everything that we kept seeing. Just
did you try to remember that with what about the key witnesses, woman? What about them? You and them hula hoop earrings you got in your ears. What about the key witnesses? Did you remember that? But you remember the small, frail woman you felt so sad for walking into the courtroom, huh?
To try to keep an open mind and make sure that I didn't let any prejudice enter my mind. I wanted to be open to the truth, whatever that was going to be.
I remember watching you. You were front row center, weren't you?
It was.
Yeah, and I remember I would watch all the jurors just to kind of get a read, and you seemed really hyper-focused on the witnesses when they were testifying and going back and forth. I did catch you a few times, though, just kind of looking at Kouri.
I did. I would try to get a read on her. There were lots of really hard things being said by witnesses, and I would look over at her just to maybe see if there was an emotional reaction, or see if there was anything, any cards that she was showing, so to speak. And I felt like she had a really good poker face. You couldn't.
What the hell was, hula hoop earrings looking at? You didn't see her do nothing? I know I watched that trial. I know I seen her make many reactions. You said nothing poker face. No, the way I got this paused, we see your poker face. Did she just say that? She didn't see nothing? What was... Oh, wait.
I couldn't most of the time figure out what she was thinking or feeling just by looking at her. She was a very hard read, but I did try to really focus my attention on the witnesses. I think
Well, that's what the fuck you should have been doing. That's what you should have been doing. Focusing on the witnesses. Oh, I gotta hear this.
I probably took more notes than any of the other jurors because I was just trying to soak up as much information as I could and make sure that we got the truth.
Was there one witness that you remember that really struck you personally?
There really was. And unfortunately, unless you were in the courtroom, you didn't get to hear his testimony.
Was it the undercover cop?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. His was a really powerful testimony for me. And I felt like he was a really credible witness with
the undercover cop, right? The undercover cop who we never heard. The undercover cop who worked for the lead detective. The undercover cop who we never got to hear. And the nerve of this lady with that pale, or I don't know if that's powder makeup on her face, to say that was the most compelling. The undercover cop. But the lead detective who didn't know nothing. And she's smiling out. That's an easy way to get yourself. Oh, the guy who they didn't show on TV. He was the most compelling. Oh, really? Okay, forehead. Okay.
really important information about what the drug trade
So this
looks like.
undercover cop, they, I guess his face wasn't supposed to be shown on TV, right? But I don't care about that. They showed his face on accident, but I don't care about that, right? What I care about is the lead detective didn't know nothing. So how was this undercover cop the most compelling? Somebody make that make sense to me. This is blasphemy, y'all.
Like and looked like at that time, and what pills were being sold on the street, what ones were not. And I think they realized really rather quickly that because he's undercover, they cut the feed to the media. So unless you were in the courtroom, you did not get to hear what he said.
Oh, I bet we didn't get to hear what they said, twinkle, twinkle, head star. I bet it was very compelling, but we didn't get to hear him say, twinkle, twinkle, head star, right? We know what the lead detective say. He didn't know nothing. We know that. So if you wasn't in the courtroom, oh, okay, Mormon lady.
And his was really quite powerful for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't in the courtroom that day, and now I regret it.
Everyone missed it.
I bet we did. Twinkle, twinkle, head star from the undercover cop. Everyone missed it. Yeah, it's easy to laugh and giggle and say that, but we didn't miss the lead detective. Right? Tell them to stop arching your eyebrows. They're almost gone.
What do you think when Grossman took the stand, her boyfriend?
Grossman was a hard one. I just was not prepared for how emotional he was going to be. You're curious because they had talked about.
Man, I'm pissed off now, y'all. Like for real, and I this case right here is some fucked up shit, right? And apologize for my line. Come try and get better. But twinkle twinkle head star right here with the hula hoop earrings in, right? With the eyebrows, she should never get orched again because they almost gone. It just looked like a line, right? Said the undercover cop was the most compelling. that we didn't get to see. But we got to see the lead detective. It's nasty work, y'all. This nasty work. Oh, wait. Twinkle, twinkle, head star. Like, I cannot believe she said that after knowing the lead detective. So we know the lead detective is a dummy. So you telling me the dummy he got under is the other? Oh, okay.
And alluded to in other witnesses and other testimony that she did have a boyfriend at the time, but seeing how emotional he was on the stand made me really sad. I really felt quite sorry for him. You could tell he really had loved her, and I got the impression that he was maybe thinking there was a future there, and I don't know how much of a future she thought they were going to have.
Hold up.
What did you think about Carmen Lauber?
Hold up.
And I don't know how much of a future she thought they were going to have. Really sad. I really felt quite. I just was not prepared for how emotional he was going to be. And I think they realized really rather quickly that because he's undercover and they cut the feed to the media. So unless you were in the courtroom, you did not get to hear what he said. And his was really quite powerful for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't in the courtroom that day, and now I regret it.
Everyone missed it.
What did you think when Grossman took the stand, her boyfriend?
Grossman was a hard one. I just was not prepared for how emotional he was going to be. You're curious because they had talked about and alluded to in other witnesses and other testimony that she did have a boyfriend at the time, but seeing how emotional he was on the stand made me really sad.
Oh, this twinkle, twinkle head stuff. Are you kidding me? You let that fucking dude come up there who was messing with a married woman, but you just knocking her though, right? He got emotional and started crying because he wasn't with her or could never be with her. And you got him and that was sad to you? Man, what the hell am I heard? What the fuck you think this interview finna make you? Yeah, it's gonna make you very, very famous. Twinkle, twinkle, head star. Because you let that dude who was doing the worst thing that's probably do with a married woman, and you slept her. Are you kidding me? She felt sorry for him, but that's that Mormon state. The women are beneath man, right? Oh, we.
I really felt quite sorry for him. You could tell he really had loved her, and I got the impression that he was maybe thinking there was a future there, and I don't know how much of a future she thought they were going to have.
Oh, okay, woman. You think because he thought there was a future there, and she didn't think that means what do that mean, woman? We. Hold up, y'all. Now, what is this? He's, huh? Oh my God! This jury was tainted. This is and you know what? To hear them, like, I wonder what the lawyer gonna have to say after hearing this. Like, cause you're gonna cut. Like, I wonder what a lot of other people gonna come after hearing this. She felt sorry for Grossman. And talking about he felt like it was gonna be some nerves she didn't. I felt really, really sad.
What did you think about Carmen Lauber?
Carmen was an interesting witness because I feel like it was so hard to watch her when she was cross-examined by the defense. I felt really quite sad as the defense is trying to get her to recollect things that she had said in interviews.
Oh my God. Hold the fuck up. Hold up, y'all. Hold up, y'all. the defense was trying to get her to recollect, hey, Twinkle Twinkle Head Star. Did you see the interviews where they came 7 times? Oh my, we. Oh, hold up, y'all. Hold up.
Watch her when she was cross-examined by the defense. I felt really quite sad as the defense is trying to get her to recollect things that she had said in interviews multiple years ago, and she's just got this hard background of being.
Oh, hold up. I thought that's what testimony mean. I thought like whoop-de-whoop, and you felt sorry when they had proof of evidence of what she said, and you mad, you felt sorry because the defense was trying to get her to recollect that? Oh, we. Huh? What? She was trying to get her to remember? She got mad because they was trying to get her to recollect what she said years ago? And that made you very, very sad? What the fuck am I listening to? Oh, wait.
On drugs for so many years that I just don't know, how well your brain would recall details from that long ago.
Oh, so you feel sorry for the drug addict. You don't know how much her years would recall that. So you feel sympathy for the drug addict who you found out came back and lied to the judge to go see her boyfriend so he could daddy long stroke her. Oh, this is diabolical. Oh my God. Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
And I felt like she struggled to read the transcripts that they gave her. And so she was a tougher witness. I think when the prosecution questioned her, it was very straightforward and very clear. And it seemed like she was going to be a pretty important witness until.
She said when the prosecution questioned her, it was going to be very straight and clear. Well, hey, Twinkle Twinkle Head Star. That was their fucking star witness, you dummy. And you telling me the defense ain't supposed to do their job? Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, pretty cookie. I am amazed at what I'm hearing. Oh, wait.
The defense took a couple hacks at her, and it was rough to watch. It was hard.
A couple hacks at her? It was hard to watch. You silly. They were supposed to. Oh, wait, y'all. Oh.
Believe her.
I did believe her. Actually, this is what I'll say about that. I think that the bigger testimony to me was the cell phone data and the cell tower that proved what she had been saying was truth. I think it was.
Oh, the cell phone data proved what she had been saying was truth, but they never said fentanyl. Man.
Hard to know how much of the detail was true. I believe that the gist she was trying to say was truth.
I thought it's about detail. Twinkle, twinkle, head star, eyebrow having broad. I thought it's about every detail. So it was hard for you to understand the detail, but the gist, the gist. You and that little part you got through your head. You got too much forehead. You need to wear bangs, boo-boo. Oh my. She said it was hard for her to understand every detail, but she got the gist. What is this? Yeah, just like I get every detail about you wearing that little part through your head. You need bangs, boo-boo.
But I think she just had a struggle to recall the exact precise details, but they were able to recreate that with cell tower data. And that actually became a pretty powerful
recreate. Oh, this is Utah, y'all. Recreate
piece of information for me.
So because they were able to show you the times and the dates and all that, you were able to then say, okay, I believe her testimony.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would that be the same with the gentleman who provided her the drugs who testified?
Same thing. I think his was a little less painful to sit through. I felt like his mind seemed a little clearer, and maybe kind of some of the details that he provided were probably as a result of a drug-addled brain. But again,
were probably of a drug-addled brain. Oh, wait. Damn, they feel sorry for the drug heads. But you didn't take nothing he said when he said that he didn't say he did that.
Our data is irrefutable. And they obviously met multiple times at that Maverick and Draper, and there was just no way to refute that. That was evidence that was a critical piece for me.
Refute that they met. But could you refute that fentanyl was there? Why did look, Nate? Is you gonna ask her about not fentanyl, Nate? Where's that coming up?
What did you think when they showed the body camera footage the night that Eric died?
That's a great question. The first time I saw it was early on in the case, and I just felt sad. It broke my heart to watch in real time what was happening in this family. I think it really became a lot more powerful in closing arguments when the prosecution attached the timer to the body cam footage and the 911 call and showed really just how long it took Kouri to actually start CPR on her husband. One piece that I had a really hard time being critical of was how she reacted. I don't know what I would look like if I was in the middle of a crisis, and I certainly didn't use that as evidence to convict somebody of a crime. For me, it became more about the bigger pieces that we found out later. But
you lying motherfucker. You just said, listen, man. Oh, wait. I'm astonished.
It was hard to watch. It was really, really sad.
You seem very open-minded, which is what you would want on a jury.
What? Man, you glad you got that interview? Like, Nate, I like watching, but you glad you got that interview? Because this is not an open-minded person. Because you must just agree she was guilty to the gist, because I see no counters of karma or how she said that the defense was trying to do this. Well, Nate, why you didn't ask her? Well, they did come in there and make her change her story, because she did say multiple times that she didn't have it until they did it. Or Nate, why you didn't ask her how they wrote out her timeline? Man, what is this happy to get an interview, Nate? Or you just was convinced? Like, what is this? I don't see no counter questions.
I really tried to be. After every witness and every
you didn't try to do nothing, because just like I don't respect. I don't respect. That don't mean I got a problem with this guy, but I don't respect how he ain't trying to answer or rebut some of the other stuff. He's just letting her say this and that without even bringing up points about karma and what she did and how she lied. How they didn't take that. Oh, so the drugs played effect on her. Twinkle, twinkle, head star when she lied to the judge after she got her immunity.
Every piece of testimony that came, I took notes and I filed it away in my mind, and I really tried to process it, but I kept just sitting there with an open mind of, okay, what's next? Show me what else you got. Let me see. I didn't want to come to a conclusion too quickly, because I felt like I didn't want to close myself off to receiving a critical piece of information.
Well, you did. It's definite to me. I can't speak for everybody else. Hula hoop. It's definite. You came to a decision quick. Because in this, you say, you believe karma. Like, ooh.
Evidence that would, go either way.
Yeah. I asked you about the body camera footage. What about the text messages between Kouri and her boyfriend and even Eric?
Those were so sad to read as well. I think that the ones between Kouri and Josh Grossman were really kind of telling in the sense of where her mind was at with her marriage and with her relationship. Obviously, she was kind of juggling multiple relationships between her husband and her boyfriend. And I feel like her business was a big mess at the time. And, just reading the texts from Eric after he's passed away, it just made me sad. It just really broke my heart. And it was hard. A lot of times it was just hard to be a fly on the wall in the middle of those relationships at times.
Were you aware of the Midway Mansion?
Honestly, I have seen it. I've been through Midway, but I've never known what happened or why it was sitting there unsold. It wasn't until the first picture that they showed on
the gaslighting she doing right now, the gaslighting, she didn't know about it.
On opening statements that I even made the connection that she was somebody who had been involved with that home. I had no idea.
How impactful was the testimony about her finances?
That was a really, really impactful piece of evidence for me. The forensic accountant did a phenomenal job on the stand, and I felt like she held up really well under cross-examination. And again, what I liked about
finances.
Oh,
boy, you ain't lying though, Raina. Like, they think everybody did great. Oh wee.
That was a really, really impactful piece of evidence for me. The forensic accountant did a phenomenal job on the stand, and I felt like she held up really well under cross-examination. And again, what I liked about her testimony is that it was data. It was facts. It was reality of where Kouri's finances were, and there wasn't, I liked evidence that was hard data, because then it kind of takes some of the guesswork out for us as jurors.
Right. There was a lot of talk during the trial that you obviously weren't seeing, but in the comments about the private investigator and how he handled the cross-examination. What were your thoughts sitting in the jury box watching that?
That was one of the most entertaining testimony that we got, was the way that he
entertaining. She used the word entertaining. When he was one of the dirtiest PIs I ever seen, and that was entertaining. I got to hear this, but this is diabolical, y'all.
Handled cross-examination. First of all, he came in there with his neck brace and walking on a cane, and he was visibly
with his neck brace. He was visibly hurt. Hey, let me tell you something. A twinkle twinkle head star with the hula hoop earrings, right? It was so sympathetic when he said, "Oh, my neck hurt," when the defense started cross-examining them all. Boy, this, oh Lord.
He had just had surgery to have, I think his spine fused was what he said. And he was a character. He was definitely entertaining, but he brought with him a lot of hard evidence and a lot of information that I feel like was really critical to drive the investigation. But it was so entertaining to watch him on the stand with getting cross-examined by the defense.
Yeah, I think half of our audience at least loved him, and half were.
Entertaining. When some of the stuff wasn't even found till he got there. Entertaining, okay.
Like, I don't like him, he's too abrasive, but people were watching and listening to every word he said.
I didn't ever feel like there was a witness I didn't like. I felt like I really tried to not let my
whoa, the head's out the back. Duh. We could tell 3 hours. We could tell you loved every witness that was there. Duh. We're not stupid. Where are you talking now? Boy, this is
impressions of somebody determine what I thought about them. I tried to listen to what they had to say. So I wouldn't say there's anybody I didn't like, but I definitely feel like he was one of the more entertaining witnesses we had, and he just gave it right back to the defense. They, props to them. They tried really hard to get him to crack, and he did not.
Your thoughts about hearing from Eric's dad and sister?
Oh, those were tough testimonies to hear. We got them really early on in the trial, and I'm sure it was intentional so that they would be able to then participate as spectators for the rest of the trial. But it was hard to know. There were a few things that I think struck me about their testimonies, other than just they were heartbreaking and awful, is just how close of a family they seemed to be. I feel like
Really? A close of, oh, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
Katie came in and collapsed to the floor and is just could hardly even breathe. Where's my boys? Where are the boys? And I was glad to see that, because it, you know, it is just so hard to know what Kouri was thinking. She was just such a, even in, I mean, her reactions in the body cam footage is tough. She was reacting. I'm not saying she wasn't, but it was, I felt like Katie's reaction was just a different vibe. She just came in a lot hot.
Okay, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, woman. Brothers and sisters grow up together as siblings. It's going to be a harsher reaction, I would think. Come on now. Don't do this.
And a lot more distraught. And it was just hard. And you knew just by watching that what a close family they were. And my heart just broke for all of them.
You also heard from her friend, well, hers and Eric's friends. What was it like hearing those personal, you know, his business partner who took the stand, and then some other friends who said that they'd gone on trips together? What were your thoughts about those testimonies?
So Eric's business partner came across and really trustworthy, somebody that I felt like we could believe. Kouri.
Oh, the guy who said that Eric was doing illegal things, hunting, and reported him to the law. Okay. All right.
Friend that came in. I mean, she had a couple of friends that testified, and it was hard watching Chelsea Barney's testimony in particular, just hearing what had happened to her with the home that she was trying to get through Kouri. She basically handed over her life savings, $45,000, and ended up being evicted from the home she had been paying the mortgage on. And that was devastating. That was really hard for me to watch. I'm blanking on her name, but Kouri's friend that went on the trip with them to Hawaii, when she testified that Eric had snuck the gummies in Kouri's bag so that he didn't have to have them found in his bag. That felt icky. That was hard to hear. I felt for Kouri in that situation, because that would be just something that would make you so angry and so upset at your husband. Overall, it was, they were painting a picture. I really wish we would have been able to hear the defensive.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah. The 45,000, I get that. But come on now. She said that was icky. Oh, I think Eric will be bad doing that. Well, I'm not. Oh, wait.
This case. I would have loved to see what witnesses they had that they brought in to say what they were going to say. I would have loved to hear what they had up their sleeve.
Did you think that you would, based on how they had been cross-examining and leading up?
Yes. And in fact, the one friend of Kouri's that they ended up doing their portion of interviewing her as their witness because she needed to catch a plane and go home. And so that was the only positive we ever heard about Kouri. And so I was really ready for it. And we knew that the prosecution, or we kind of felt that they were probably winding down just by the way the case was going. And
so y'all held it against her, or you, basically all of y'all, because the defense didn't put on something. Man, where's the hard questions at from this guy, man? Like, why you ain't gonna ask her the other stuff that they didn't do, fam? Oh, man.
When we got into the courtroom, flipped to a fresh page in the notebook, ready to go. And when the defense rested, it was just utter shock. And then to walk out of the courtroom with my fellow jurors and not be able to say to any of them.
Boy, I'm glad Kelsey Fitzsimmons getting a bench trial. Well, pray for Kelsey.
Can you believe that? Like, we just all kind of walked with big eyes and couldn't say a word, couldn't talk about it, couldn't. I couldn't go home and tell anybody. Can you believe that happened today? Like that was a hard moment.
She lying. Girl, they knew you was on the jury. They was watching. Don't tell me you and your husband in that 50-acre house with a 50-acre lot y'all got. It's how they talking about. Man. Oh, Lord, man.
That was really hard.
And I don't know if you've gone back to watch it. Have you watched any of the trial or anything?
I have gone back and I have looked and seen a lot of the motions and a lot of the evidence that we as a jury were not able to hear. And it is refreshing to me that I feel like we definitely made the right call. I think we came to the right verdict, especially I'm working.
You said you've been able to watch a little bit of it and you think you definitely made the right call? Girl, shut the fuck up.
And it's given some of the testimony and things and evidence that would have been able to be admitted had, certain individuals not passed away. And
she needs to shut the fuck up. Like, I ain't heard a motherfucking thing about the fucking lies and misremembering and no investigation done clearly. Questions asked to this. After looking at the jail, he's going he did a great thing. Shut the fuck up.
And things like that. But yes, I've been able to watch a little bit here and there.
Because you found out that they were arresting probably about 5 minutes after the rest of it.
Okay, Ocean. If it's the defense trying to prove reasonable doubt, if you didn't see it sprinkling and sprinkling like infinity and beyond of reasonable doubt, come on, Ocean. I love you to death. You know that was so much reasonable doubt.
The world did.
Oh, really?
It was Kathy Nestor had said when the prosecution rested, they needed about 30 minutes with Kouri Richins to decide their plan, who they were.
Oh, I think I read that wrong. I'm sorry.
Call with order. They needed some time to consult with her.
Oh,
so
wow.
The judge had a long lunch. We came back. Yeah, the prosecution.
I mean, you're right. You're right, Ocean. I read that wrong. I'm sorry.
He said to the defense, they said, we're ready to go. He said, who's your first witness? They consult with each other, and then they said, we're actually going to rest. And I think everyone's reaction was what yours was. And so you wanted to hear the defense. You wanted their side.
Yes. I would have loved to have heard their side. I was open to it. My mind was leaning towards guilty, but I wasn't made up yet. I was.
You wanted to hear? My mind was leaning towards guilty. Lady, you had already did that, right? And like, I'm like, man. Yeah, I'm sorry, Elson. I read that wrong. And I finally got it. I'm like, where's the questions that about the detective? This is, and she say that she is so gracious of Carmen. What did she feel about Driscoll? Since she believed Carmen and the defense was trying to rip her down. This is hurtful. Hear this, y'all. This is her. Oh my God! Look at this woman. This is a juror.
I was ready for them to say what evidence they had to refute the prosecution's evidence, which was pretty powerful. And we never got it. And I suspect we never got it because there isn't any. I did feel that some of the defense cross-examinations, instead of, to me, it felt like all they could do was try to discredit the witness a lot of times.
Did it work? Or did it rub you?
All they could do was discredit. Hold the. Ain't that what the fuck they supposed to do? And then Cuz right here talking about did it work? Hold up, Cuz. You serious? Like, she just said all they did was try to, conjure whatever to the witness. And you asking her, did it work? What? And then she got her eyes rolled up like, oh my God.
The wrong way.
It didn't rub me the wrong way. It didn't bother me. I was waiting for evidence or things that they could provide that would back up
evidence. Did the lead detective give some evidence? He said he didn't do nothing. He don't know who had it. Where's the pill bottle? It got destroyed. You didn't take that into account? Oh, wait, man. Oh, wait.
the belief that she hadn't done it rather than just trying to discredit a witness personally. You know, it felt personal at times, but I'm sure it's just a strategy.
It felt personal. So what? It's not they ain't supposed to feel like it's personal before their clients. If these people done lied and they said he contradicting them and asking them why they didn't, it's not supposed to feel personal. What they supposed to play patty cake, baker, man, roll them, throw them in the pan, twinkle, head star. What are you talking about?
And I'm not a lawyer and I don't live in the legal world, but I respect it as a strategy. If that's what you're going to do, that's what you got to do.
And so was there any time where you thought, whoa, they're going a little bit too far? Like when they were questioning the PI about the sext messages between Eric and his friend?
Yes, that felt like it was probably a little bit too far. And
oh, it felt like it was a little bit too far. Whatever. It was over 100 of them, but it felt like it was a little bit too far. Oh, I guess, lady.
Personally, I would not want somebody disparaging my dead husband's name in that way. So I felt
hold on. You know what? Keep talking, woman.
That was probably a little bit too far. I did think some of their hammering of Carmen Lauber was excessive. We got
excessive. Hammering of Carmen Lauber was excessive. The line lady who got her immunity and she wanted to go get some Disney that bad, and her sorry ass boyfriend couldn't even catch a flight to where she was, and you thought it was excessive, you freaking lady?
At the point we knew she didn't know. It was obvious that she was confused and struggling to remember details, and I just felt like they just kept going.
So it was obvious that she didn't know. She was struggling to remember details. And this they star witness, you little bitty eyebrow having mother. This they star witness, and it's obvious that she was struggling to remember details. You thought that was excessive? And this is they star witness? You and all that forehead and the ugly part you got through. Say, am I tripping, y'all? Oh my God. Oh, Dorena, what is you trying to say? You saying this is painted or something? What is you saying? Like I'm hearing this lady say this was excess, and they was able to go hard at them. But did she say this is excess? She wasn't able to remember, and it's obvious because she was a drug addict. And you believed her? Oh, I am terrified. If this the type of shit they could do, and they say that woman who lied after she got her immunity, right, which the prosecution left out, which the defense had to argue to get to bring back in. You telling me you felt that they were excessive to her because she couldn't remember the lies that she told? Y'all. This is hitting me hard, y'all.
What do you think the defense did well?
Oh, I think the defense, they were excellent lawyers. I think they did a great job of trying to cast doubt on certain things. I feel like some of the questions they asked were really powerful and really good, but ultimately I felt that the state just did.
That do make sense. She said exactly. They can't question Corman when a woman's life is on the line, but so much support in Karen Reed, but not for Kouri. Oh my! But you want, and I promise you, I said, why this ain't a bigger case? I say we see these lead detectives not doing their jobs. The way that PR handled it. Like, why this ain't a bigger case where everybody is gravitated to where they see this? We doing it. I can't get over this bra saying it was excessive. I cannot believe she said they were excellent lawyers. Look at her. I don't see a wrinkle in that forehead. But Botox is amazing. Ain't it? Listen, allegedly, I'm just saying, I don't see a wrinkle in that forehead.
Have the evidence.
And what did the prosecution do well?
Again, presenting the evidence. Closing arguments were really powerful. I feel like the state did a phenomenal job on that, but I think they were prepared, and I think they had their witnesses ready to go with the right information that just was able to convince, a panel of 8 people, 8 strangers, really.
You said that the undercover officer was the most powerful witness for you. And then would you say the clincher for evidence, was that the cell phone data? Was there like one thing, or was it a combination of everything?
It was a combination of everything. The cell phone data was really powerful because that's irrefutable. It would have been great if we'd have had the text messages on Kouri's or Carmen's phones. Those would have been.
It would have been great. Yeah. I can't believe I can't believe what I'm listening to. I can't believe that Nate ain't asked her nothing.
Even better. But what they did have put it in no doubt in my mind that Kouri asked Carmen to purchase drugs for her, and the cell tower data proved that. The other piece of powerful evidence for me was the forensic accountants, providing, and it was mostly just that provided a motive, a really clear motive for us as to how bad Kouri's business was doing, the way that she was just really struggling financially. And I just felt like that was pretty powerful testimony. And it was a lot of pieces that kind of helped us put the puzzle together.
What did you think when you learned she had written a children's book? Well, then it was actually a ghostwriter, but the children's book.
It was a little embarrassing. I felt secondhand embarrassment when they talked about the fact that she had hired the ghostwriter. Because in my mind, I would think you would be able to write a small, simple children's book for your kids and put that experience into words pretty easily. But I felt like it was an attempt on her part to maybe capitalize on kind of the notoriety and the fame that she was.
She said it's embarrassing. Is it embarrassing for musicians to have ghostwriters? Is it embarrassing for directors to have ghostwriters who don't get, the proper approval and the director get? Is that embarrassing? Like, this is mind-boggling, y'all. This is mind-boggling. I mean, this interview was an interview of just asking her why she guilty. I don't see nothing her to question her about anything. Like, wait. Boy, this is blasphemy at the highest.
Experiencing at that time, and it was a moneymaker in my mind. It just seemed like, and I'm sure there was feelings to use it to comfort her children as well. We don't see any of that side, and I'm not going to disparage another mother or say
Oh, you don't see that side. God damn. Oh, wait. You don't see that side. Have you ever stayed with her, you ignorant ass woman? Have you ever been around? You don't even know her. She was in jail 4 years now without seeing her. You don't see it? Do you know how that make you feel when you're in jail? Oh, wait.
You know, that she didn't do that, but it just did seem like the reason she
Hold
wrote.
up. Wait a minute. Shout to Hellfish Haven in the building. It turned me up. It's member for 4 months. Smash that like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Hold up. Before we continue, y'all, it's Hellfish Haven. Let's do that gangster lane. Man, thank you so much. 4 months, man. That is amazing. That's the time I've been here, and I'm just so grateful, man. That means everything. Everything. Love you to death. I mean, everything.
It was for money.
And then the walk the dog letter.
That was a really powerful piece of evidence as well for me. We didn't understand at the time that letter was seized from her jail cell. Right. That we discovered after the fact. They just simply said in court that it was found in a book among her possessions. But I think if we'd have known it was from jail, that would have even been a doubly more powerful piece of evidence. And I've since even gone back and read the unredacted version, because we got a redacted version that had a lot of things left out of it. But that was damning in my mind.
Girl, you had your mind made up. During this trial, you had your husband go get another cell phone, and you can look up everything, see everything, just like the rest of them jurors did, right? You had your mind made up. It's just clear cut, no debating.
That was just as big of a smoking gun as you could get. Telling your family what they've got to testify to in order to get you off the hook is a little bit scary.
Did the line of questioning about THC gummies ever cause you some doubt about Eric?
Really? No, not really. Simply because I felt like his friends and family testified so strongly that he was just an occasional THC gummy user. I never got the sense that Eric was a drug addict or that Eric had a problem with.
Hold up. That's a motherfucking lie, ain't it? Is that a lie? The friends and family didn't even know he did come. Am I tripping, y'all? She said the friends and family testified that he did come. Huh? They didn't know what to say. What? Hold up. They did what?
The line of questioning about THC gummies ever cause you some doubt about Eric?
Really? No, not really. Simply because I felt like his friends and family testified so strongly that he was just an occasional THC gummy user.
Hold up. Did anybody see that? Tell me I ain't tripping. Because I remember, they didn't even know he did THC. Huh? And when the Red Devils, when they're like hydro, like, am I tripping, y'all? Am I tripping? I never, oh, wait. I didn't hear. Oh man.
I never got the sense that Eric was a drug addict or that Eric had a problem with illicit drugs or clean pills or any of that sense. I just felt like all the testimony.
There we go with the illicit drugs. Remember that, Judge, let that word in. Illicit. Thank you, Pretty Cookie. The illicit See what I'm saying? Illicit. And shout out to Lord, he said that should have never been brought in illicit. And Big George too, illicit. That could mean anything, right? Kouri was charged with killing them for fentanyl. She asked for the Michael Jackson drug. And then that woman said time after time after time again, she did. Oh, wait. Yeah, that was rumored online. That was never in a testimony. Oh my God, man. Oh, wait.
From everybody who knew him the best, it just didn't seem like that was something he was into. I obviously we know he did the gummies, and that didn't affect anything. I felt that was kind of incidental to the case.
So gummies didn't affect nothing, THC can't allude to nothing else. You just disregard that, huh? Not saying whoop-de-whoop, but disregard the hydrocodone, back knee, disregard all of that, huh? Has no. Oh my.
What was it like sitting every day there, Christy, watching his family and Kouri's mother? I don't know if you knew who Kouri's mom was in there, or if you even saw her, but she was in the court every day. I mean, did you look at them?
I didn't know who Kouri's mom was until after this was done. And I saw some interviews and some documentary type things that she's done, but I didn't ever know who Kouri's family was in court. And the only way that I knew who Eric's family was because Katie and Jean had both testified.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that was your determination. You lying sack of shit. It ain't nothing about this woman I believe what she's saying right now. That's me. Everybody ain't got to have my opinion. That's me. She didn't know who Kouri family was. Like you, man, please. Only reason why we knew because they took, girl, please. Man, please. Man.
But otherwise, I felt sorry for them having to sit there day after day and hear these things said about their son and hear kind of what had happened in their marriage and in their family that just.
So you feel sad day after day they had to hear this stuff. Thought you were doing your civic duty. Twinkle, twinkle, head star. You felt sad. No question about lead detective. No, I'm still waiting on that.
Imploded, and it was devastating. I can't even imagine what it was like for them. I know it was hard for me. It was hard for me to hear it. It was a heavy case to keep in my head and go home with and not be able to share with anybody.
How did you cope with it?
I went to bed early, a lot of nights.
I don't believe you. Hey, went to bed early. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I could tell by no wrinkles in your forehead. You was up. You was up. I mean, I ain't seen a wrinkle in her forehead. I'm not being funny, but I ain't seen a wrinkle in her forehead. Not one.
I felt like the first week of the trial was exhausting. Mm-hmm. It was just mentally so much to process, and we were just taking notes as furiously as we could and trying to digest as much information as we could. So the first few days I came home pretty early and just crashed and went to sleep. I often took a book to court, and after we'd eat our lunch, we'd have, the 20, 30 minutes, and I would just kind of escape from the world that was swirling around in my head and try to escape into fiction and just get a release that way, because we're sitting in a room with 12 people and we can't talk about the one thing that we're all thinking about, and that's just weighing us all down. And it was a challenge. It was hard.
I don't think people realize how exhausting it is. I mean, you might think, oh, you're just sitting in a room all day, but it's so much more than that.
So much more than that. In fact, there was a day partway through the second week of the trial that my husband came to me and he said, I know you can't tell me anything, but I just want you to know that I miss you. And he's like, I've realized in our relationship this week that you're the top.
Oh, your husband told you he missed you. Oh, more information, y'all. More information. Your husband was saying, if you're horny, let's do it. Hold up. Riding my pony. It's been 2 weeks. And I'm ready to jump on it. See, the husband came to you telling you he don't want to tell you, he just a mischief, influential. So hurry up and get it done. That's what your husband told you? That's basically what I'm hearing. I just want to tell you I miss you. I miss you. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Like, yo, I don't want to talk about the case. I just want to tell you I miss you. Cuz was like, if you're horny, let's do it. Hold up, riding my pony. Hold up. He say, my saddle's waiting. Come in and jump on that. Hold up. That's how he coming. He was like, get over here. Oh, wee. Damn. Oh, wee. And I ain't saying that no ooh wee, cause I miss you, face ass. I'm saying ooh wee, you know, she even have the audacity to tell us that. Don't give a damn about your husband and what he thinking of how he miss you. You're not with him every day. Can't talk to him about the trial. Talk to him about apples and oranges. The fuck? Oh, wee. Oh, wee. Let me say, that one with an uppercut, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, my. My husband say, I miss you. All right? Then, just because you was in the case, don't mean he couldn't, throw that ass in the circle. Hold up. Throw that ass in the circle. Just because you was he oh, really? So, man. Come on, I don't got to talk to you. We don't got to talk. It's just touch, grab, lick, kiss, grab, and all of that in between. Let's just do that. I don't got to do nothing. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Woman, I don't believe. I hate this fake ass shit. I hate this fake ass shit. Fucking world we live in. I miss you. Shit, because if the rifleman go with 10 hood, I'ma come and get you. The fuck? I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. Is she saying this? Did your husband influence you to say he missed you to hurry up and get it over with? Oh, I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm the listener, and I miss hearing all the little details about your day and all the things that you're thinking about. And it was just hard because I couldn't talk to anybody. And we just kind of had to bear that burden on our own.
But it sounds like you've gone back and done research. So once the verdict was out, did you have a million questions?
Oh, yes, we did. And in fact, Judge Mrazek came in to talk to us after everything was all said and done. And he sat down and he let us ask him questions. And he gave us some great advice. And it was really nice to be able to pick his brain a little bit. And yes, I have spent quite a bit of time online, on social media, searching things out, reading articles, watching podcasts. And again, I just feel relief that we made the right.
Girl, you was doing that before. Yeah, relief. Girl, please.
Paul, I believe that we made the right decision, and I'm really thankful that there hasn't been anything that has swayed me otherwise.
Do you mind sharing the advice he gave you?
I don't want to speak for him, but I will say, I don't want to put his words into my mouth, but I feel that I can kind of say the gist of it. He told us that over the next couple of days, as we, the case was done and we'd reached our verdict, he said, over the next couple of days, you're going to really feel the burden of this. And he advised us to talk to people, to share what our experience had been with our friends, with our family. Mm-hmm. And he said, what he's seen is that if you don't kind of unload some of that burden, that you end up snapping at your spouse, or you just end up, you keep it bottled up inside. And he really encouraged us to talk about the case with those that we love and trust, and share what our experience had been.
I don't seriously got no problem with the LDS. I just got a problem with the way this case was handled, right? I got a problem with what she's saying. I got a problem with Nick Eaton not even asking her like questions about what Corman did or the lead detective. That's problematic to me. That's problematic to me, especially if you're doing an interview, right? She want to come out, take a picture, click, click, look at me, face ass, with a twinkle, twinkle head star with the ugly little part through it, which you need bangs terribly, right? And ain't no questions. Man, this is, ooh.
I think that's great advice, not just for jurors, but even the law enforcement, even journalists, people that have gone to it.
Yeah. You guys have watched the same thing that we've watched and carried that same thing around. It's been a heavy burden. It's been tough.
I guess the difference is we can talk about it, whereas you guys can't for 3 weeks.
Right.
So can you give me a little insight into what's that like? Because sometimes you're excused to go in the back. I mean, are you all just sitting in a room? Are there snacks? Are you chatting, playing games? I mean, what's the behind the scenes looking like?
Yeah. So the behind the scenes was interesting. I do want to maybe start off by telling you kind of what it was like to go to court every day.
Please.
Girl, we don't want to hear it. Yeah, we don't have to hear it. But see, it's the thing right here. I don't believe her, especially with this jury. They was talking to each other. I don't believe you at all.
So we would pull in behind the courthouse, behind the sheriff's complex there, and there would be a sheriff blocking the entrance so nobody else but the jury or other sheriffs could get in. And we would drive around and our cars would be stacked one on top of the other behind barbed wire. Our cars were protected every day so that nobody could either get our license plates or find out, where. I don't even know if people knew where we were parked. The sheriff had a drone that followed us in and followed us out every single day. And it was alarming at first when we saw the drone. One of our fellow jurors sent a note to the judge and said, "We think there's a drone following us." And they came in and let us know that it was the sheriff's office that was putting up that drone every day. And it was comforting to know that they were really so concerned for our safety. And then we would have to come in and go through a metal detector check, and they would search all of our belongings. And it was basically like 3 locked doors that they had to get us through. And we couldn't even walk down the hallway without a sheriff's deputy there with us. So I've joked that it isn't, I'm not meaning it to sound as tongue in cheek as it does, but it felt like we were in jail sometimes because we did.
Girl, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. See, when I hear her talking, you should never be admitted to a fucking jury again. In jail, you ate bologna sandwiches or were you getting Subway, man?
Did not go outside. We couldn't leave for lunch. We were in this jury room or in the courtroom. And that was tough at times, but the jury room was lovely. They had a big table with 12 chairs around it. And we did have a big giant pile of snacks in there, and the courthouse staff made sure that we all had our favorite flavor of soda, whatever we were drinking. They made sure that we had.
Oh, you had your favorite flavor of soda, candies and snacks and jujus and wham-whams, but you felt a particular girl. Shut the fuck up.
There.
And what was yours?
Diet Coke. I'm a Diet Coke. And we did convince several other jurors to give Diet.
You look like you're a Sprite Zero.
Coke a try. So
I did see some of the guys with a Diet Coke actually. So
yep. So we shared that. One of the jurors has a coffee company. He brought coffee for a lot of the jurors, and so it became a very like familial place. But at times I just felt the need to have space from. And I think I was more trying to distance myself from the weight of the trial. The people were lovely, and we all got to know each other really, really well because we could talk about everything but the trial. And so we got to know about each other's families and businesses and hobbies, and there was just a lot of like friendly banter. But it's strange to be in a room day after day with this big elephant in the room that you cannot discuss, and we can talk about everything but. So
6 men, 6 women.
6 men and 6 women.
And none of you knew each other before.
Correct. No, and most of them, are Park City people. I think I'm the only one that lives where I live. I'm not going to say names of towns or anything, but mostly Park City. A few of us kind of in some of the surrounding towns of Park City. And
okay, now I get it. Oh my God. Oh, so now I get it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's just a great group of people.
Do you think you'll be in touch with them?
We've definitely got a text thread called The Jurors.
Well, Jim, come here. I don't give a fuck about your pointy ass, long nose having a text thread called The Jurors. But this is some ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Ooh. Ooh. I don't like this interview. Like, it's like, look at this. He's smiling from cheek to cheek. I don't like this. I don't hear nothing about him asking about, like, why Corman lied after she got immunity. He took that as a grain of salt. Man, what is this?
We're chatting and trying to make plans for a get together to be able to, meet each other's spouses and kind of unload some of this burden on others.
Right. You mentioned the judge. How do you think he ran his courtroom? What were your insights?
So I'd never been in a courtroom before, so I did not know what to expect, but I loved the judge. I just felt like he did such a great job of my impression is that he was the referee of both sides. And I just felt like he did such a great job going back and forth between the two, between the objections and motions and different things that he had to weigh in on. And I never felt that he was biased to one side or the other. And he just seemed very intelligent to me and very warm and very kind. And I just thought he did a great job running his courtroom.
Take us into if you can, as much as you can, the deliberations. I'll be honest, I think people were shocked that the verdict came in less than 3 hours.
It's funny that it felt so fast to everybody because to me, it felt like we were really talking for a long time. When the 4 alternates were announced and sent out of the courtroom, one thing that struck me and was a little bit hard for me was that it was 4 women that were sent out as alternates. And having a woman defendant, I immediately felt bad that it was going to be 6 men and 2 women deciding her fate. I would have loved to have had more women on the jury. The men did a great job. I'm not disparaging them in any way, but
shut the fuck up. I was disparaged that it was 4 women. Shut the fuck up. So what the fuck was you disparaged for? Took you motherfuckers 3 hours. So what was you disparaged for? What the fuck was she disparaged for? So you thought she was innocent? Because the 4 women got taken out? Oh my God, y'all. We listening to this, right? Oh, she was disparaged because 4 women got took out. But the 6 men, they did a great job. They were all Beavis and Butthead. We had to do was slap them around for an hour or 2 to make them make their decision. But this is mind-boggling. She was disparaged because 4 women jurors got sent out. But,
it just made me sad. And I mentioned something to one of my fellow jurors as we were walking out, and I just said, wow, there's only 2 women left. And she agreed, and we both were kind of struggling with that fact. And we got into to elect a 4-person, and the other woman juror brought up the fact that she felt that it should be a woman that delivers the verdict to the judge, given that we have a woman defendant. And I wholeheartedly agreed, and I
okay, so you feel like it should be a woman who delivered it to the judge. Ooh-wee. And that was she said, and you cold-heartedly agreed. What the fuck? Ooh-wee. 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 You feel like it should be a woman? And I remember that Flipper say, we go off facts, right? Yeah, I remember she said that to number 2 wants to know if we go off facts. Oh, wait. Ooh. I'm trying to, why would you say, why do you feel like I got to be a woman? Oh, Lord Jesus.
Was so thankful that she voiced that. And the men in the room were very supportive of that idea. Not that it would change anything, but we just wanted it to feel like it had been a decision by her peers.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No,
but I also didn't want to be the foreperson, so I was happy to pass that baton.
Do it.
I support you, and I love that, but I don't want to do it. So she was a foreperson, and she did a good job. When we got into deliberate, one of the things we wanted to have all the evidence in the room with us. We felt that it was important as we were going around discussing things, if there was something we wanted to take a second look at or something we wanted to watch again. So we made sure that we got all of the evidence brought into the room with us so that we could have that close by. And we did. We looked through it and we watched the video, and we definitely went back
you looked through what? The fuck did you look through in 3 hours? The fuck did you...
We didn't, one of the things that the defense counsel admonished us to was to not take a vote right away. And we didn't. We went around.
Girl, please.
On the table, and we all shared different pieces of evidence that were strong to us. We shared kind of some of our feelings about the trial and just some general thoughts that we had, but we weren't immediately.
But did y'all give any objectives of the lies and the how people were deceitful to you? Twinkle, twinkle, head star. Did you do that?
Ready to cast a vote, and we weren't immediately ready to just be done with it. We really wanted to take some time and be thoughtful with our discussion and with our thinking about it.
Y'all want to be thoughtful. Hey, Nate, is you gonna ask her did they have any thoughts on what the defense said and how all the star witness was on the lead detective did nothing? Hey, Nate, you gonna ask her that?
And at the end of the 3 hours, we really had come to a consensus, and it felt really long to me. It felt long to be sitting there talking about the same thing for 3 hours.
It took long to her talking about the same thing. So that means you just looked at one side and one side only. Oh, wait, man. I am shocked.
Quick. It didn't seem fast. And so when people have said how quick and how fast, that has surprised me, because it doesn't feel 3 hours when you're.
Yeah, I bet it do surprise you. My first time ever doing civic duty, my husband told me he missed me and my no wrinkles and my little part in my forehead. Girl, shut up.
Talking about heavy pieces of evidence doesn't feel quick.
Right. And there was never any talk of, oh, let's go home and come back tomorrow and sleep on it, or was it pretty much we all agree?
We agreed that we wanted to keep working. They came in at about 4:20, 4:30, and we got the case around 3 o'clock. And they came in and asked if we wanted to recess for the day and come back tomorrow, the next day, or if we wanted to keep going. And we all unanimously wanted to keep going. We felt like it was, if we could come to a consensus, we wanted to, rather than drag it out for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And did you kind of then go through the counts, like, okay, forgery, everyone agree, kind of line by line?
We did. That's exactly what we did. We started with count 1, which was the most serious, and then went through just in order as they were. And we had a lot of discussion around them. We had multiple votes.
A lot of discussion. Hey, everybody. She said they had a lot of discussion. Hey, Twinkle Twinkle Head Star with the hula hoop earring said they had a lot of discussion. Hey, man, Dory, you ain't lying. It's some stuff to judge. Yeah, you ain't lying. Twinkle Twinkle Head Star. Oh, okay. I can't wait. It'll be 2 a.m. It's now? Oh, man. I cannot believe. She said we really took our time.
It wasn't a flip or casual decision. We took it very seriously, and we studied the evidence, and we talked about what pieces of evidence were the most powerful to each of us, and just shared everything that we could remember, and found documents and found things that stood out, so that we could have it all right there and use that in our decision making.
And was there any of the charges that you were maybe waffling on personally?
Not for me personally, and I don't want to speak for others, so I won't. But you know, we had to come to a consensus. It wasn't a let's vote and we're done in 5 minutes. We had to kind of work through some things and some points that were tough in this. I know the second count was probably the most difficult for all of us. The second charge, the attempted murder. But the law made it really quite easy for us to make a decision. We could choose A and or B. So we didn't have to be in agreement on both counts. Like, we could agree that she did it for pecuniary gain, or we could agree that she definitely poisoned him with an illicit substance, or attempted to poison him with an illicit substance. And it was fairly
illicit substance. Say fentanyl, broad. Say fentanyl, broad. Man.
Easy for us to come to agreement in that pecuniary part of it. And all we had to do was agree that one or more of those was something we all agreed on, and it was.
And what was that like to then walk in the courtroom and have your fellow juror give the ballot, the voting, or the the form to the judge? What was that moment for you?
That moment was really tough. I felt like after the 4 alternates were sent out.
She said it was tough. Really? Girl, you went back there, had a Diet Coke and some salt and vinegar potato chips. You came back and gave your decision. But it was tough. Shut up.
Out. I really felt like the defense, and being I'm in the middle seat of the front row, I definitely felt the eyes of the defense attorney as she was delivering her closing argument, just really kind of staring me down. And when I walked in, I had a hard time meeting her eye, knowing that we had voted on not guilty. And it honestly, it just made me feel sick. None of this was ever a light and easy thing to do. It made me just sad to know that this family was going to be irrevocably altered because of a judgment that we were asked to give. One of the that led to this, and we were asked to do our civic duty, and we did it. So when the judge read the count, I watched Kouri's face fall. It was one of the hardest things I've ever watched, just knowing what that's going to do to her family.
No, it wasn't. No, it took you 3 hours, and you took no consideration for the lies, woman. It's sickening to me to hear you say what you say.
It's heartbreaking.
Had it been a death penalty case and you guys got to decide life or death, what are your thoughts about that? I've interviewed jurors who have given death to people.
I don't know. I honestly, I really don't know what that would have done. I think it would have. It shouldn't be any harder, right? The evidence is either there or it's not. So I can't answer what I would do. I am thankful that the sentencing is not up to a jury. I know that Judge Mrazek will be fair and kind and just, and so I just feel relief that that burden is not on my shoulders. I would never want to decide whether someone lives or dies.
She feels sorry.
You think you'll go to the sentencing?
Hold up. She feels sorry. She feels sorry for the family, but she hopes the judge is kind and just to Kouri. You sick boy.
I will. I'll probably watch it, but I don't think I will. I've given a lot of my life to this trial, and it's lived in my head for several weeks, and I'm looking forward to focusing on joyful things in my own life and my own family.
Tell me what happened when you got home that day after the verdict. Did you call your husband on the way, or?
I did. I called my husband on the way home and talked to him the whole way here, and just was so relieved to be able to talk about it. My phone was blowing up. I had so many texts and so many calls. Two of my brothers recognized my voice when I said my yes.
Really?
And they knew I was on this jury, but they didn't know whether I was an alternate or not. And when juror number 3 gave a yes, they both had texted my phone and said, "Jury number 3, is that you?" So I felt like people were listening, and everyone that knew that I was on this jury was watching with bated breath. And I honestly couldn't talk to anybody other than my husband the day of the verdict, because it was just so big. And I just felt like I needed a day to process and to breathe and to be able to at least just share with my husband my feelings about the trial and the evidence. And he's not a true crime junkie, so he doesn't follow, and he hadn't watched any of the trial. So it was a relief to be able to go through and upload all of that to him. And
do you believe this lady? She said her husband didn't watch none of the trial. Man, this is nasty work.
the next day and over the last several days, I've been able to speak more about it and share things with people. It's just funny. Everybody wants to ask you a million questions and get your thoughts. And it's hard to talk about. It was a hard experience.
Yeah, well, I think that so much happened on Monday. You had the closing arguments, then you had the alternates who were sent home, and then you had the deliberations, and then you had the verdict. At least for me, at the end of the day, I'm like, is it Thursday? I mean, so I can't imagine what you're going through when then you've decided and have to go home.
Yeah, it was surreal. It was surreal. That's the only word that I can adequately use. I was thankful it was done. I didn't feel that we rushed the decision. I didn't feel that we overlooked anything. We were as meticulous and thorough as 8 strangers can be. And
she don't believe they overlooked nothing. Whoa, wait. I'm fucked up on this. Oh, wait.
One comment from the judge when he came in to speak to us after it was over, we asked him, did we do the right thing? And he just smiled and in a very judgerly way said, if 8 strangers can come into a room and be unanimous about anything, then you've made the right decision.
So why would they ask the judge if they did the right thing? Huh?
And I love that because we are all different people from different walks of life and different ages. I mean, there was a young guy all the way up to a 70-year-old woman. We were a wide variety of ages and demographics and experiences. And I think we did the right thing.
Would you want to talk to Kouri Richins? I
don't think I would. I feel like I'm sad for her. I'm sad that she felt like money was going to solve her problems.
Girl, and like Helfer said, if you asking a judge if you're doing the right thing, then they ain't doing the right thing. This is, oh wait. Oh, this shit right here, man. But I guess, normal people just gonna look at this and say, oh yeah. Like it was it was just she felt bad for Carmen. Yeah, how did she know how Kouri felt? Who isn't she sad for? Yeah. Like she felt bad that Carmen couldn't remember them, the defense. Oh.
Sad that she felt that it was okay to harm another human being and the person that you're supposed to love more than anybody. I'm sad she took away the father of her sons. I don't think that I would have anything that I want to say to her. I just feel sad for her. I feel sorry for her. My heart aches.
What would you say to people that have questions about serving on jury duty?
I would say that I think you have a moral duty to take the obligation very seriously and to perform it to the best of your ability. I felt for me that it was a sacred responsibility that I had to.
No, the fuck you didn't. Girl, after watching this interview and hearing you Dumbo, you didn't feel like it was a sacred moral nothing for you.
Listen with an open mind and to not make judgments too quickly and to hear all the evidence and then to have the courage to make a verdict, have the courage to choose whether someone was guilty or not guilty. And so I think
you didn't have no courage. Your husband told you he was missing you. Like you stupido, you was in the house with your husband. Because you can talk about this case with him. You can talk about, man.
Is given the opportunity, you shouldn't try to get out of it. If you have the ability to, I think you should serve. I think it's a responsibility, and I'm proud that I served, and I'm grateful for the experience, even if it was one that I wouldn't have wished for myself. I'm grateful for the lessons that I'm taking with me.
As you've gone back and watched some shows and listened to podcasts, has anything stuck out to you that you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that? Like, what struck you?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. One of the things that was really fascinating to find out was that Kouri had texted, I think his name was Hayden Jeffs. We had his wife or girlfriend testify early on in the process, and he passed away in a motorcycle accident. And the police came forward that they have text messages from his phone showing that Kouri asked him for fentanyl and or propofol. And so that was a shock, but they weren't able to admit that because he was deceased and could not be cross-examined. So therefore it would be.
Girl, you already knew that shit. But nothing shocking about the investigation, huh? Pointy nose.
Considered hearsay. So that was probably one of the most shocking things that I had read. And again, it was just another confirmation to me that we made the right decision and we did the right thing.
Are you going to dive into true crime now, or is this enough for you?
I may dabble in it here or there. I am a voracious like to read.
Yeah, of course. Now you get it now, y'all? She may dabble in it here and there. Is this the lawyer that was on the stand? Is this the lawyer? Because they said it was a lawyer. Oh, I may dabble in it here and there. Oh, so this was your moment, huh? This is your moment, huh? I may dabble in it here and there. Do y'all get this now? I'll dabble in it here and there. Do y'all get this now? Now this is what she want to do. This is her moment. Yeah, it wasn't. He wasn't the main point of nothing. Boy, this is
I will see. I definitely probably will be watching and listening to anything Kouri Richins related for the next little while, simply because of the front row seat that I had for the experience and for the trial. But I don't know that it'll make me a true crime junkie at this point. Maybe.
Girl, shut up. You just said probably. Then you say you don't know. Then you said maybe. Girl, shut up. You and your non-wrinkles I done seen for this almost hour.
We'll see.
Right. What do you say, Christy, that you've learned through all of this? Like, what are one or two lessons you're going to take away from it?
I definitely think that I have gained a lot more compassion for others. When I look at Josh Grossman and Carmen Lauber and Robert Crozier and just kind of I've been pretty insulated from the drug world in the life that I've led. And so I feel like a lot of compassion for people that struggle with those types of things. I think the other lesson that I would say that I've learned is really just a respect for our judicial system. I think it's probably a flawed system, but I think it's actually a pretty beautiful one. And I think it's pretty remarkable how these cases unfold and how they work, and to watch a judge as gifted as Judge Mrazek be able to weigh in as on the fly and keep track of everything was just really impressive to me. So it gave me a new respect for the system for sure.
There's a show you'll have to watch called Jury Duty. Have you?
I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Oh wait. She said she feels sorry for Carmen and Crozier, like, oh wait. Man. Oh, man. Man, I love y'all to death, man. It's been an amazing day and night. I appreciate everybody who was on here. I'm upset, y'all. I look forward to the lawyer you know in a few hours, man. Love y'all to death. See y'all soon. TRUF.
He's the mirage in the rear view glass.
It's Ray from Dallas.
Let slip past. Was he here? Was he there? Was he ever mine?
Ray from Dallas?
Just a trick played by time.
This dude is savage as fuck.
Or just a dream?
What up, Ray from Dallas?
Beam. Ray from Dallas. Tell me true.
He's fun.
Hi, Ray.
This appears to be a black man.
Ray from Dallas.
Let's take this walk.
Is he real or just a dream? Falling stars or a laser beam? Ray from Dallas, tell me true. Are you the myth or the man I knew?
This dude is
savage as fuck.